Tennessee. From the east to the west, we are talking Cowboys everything. And you just entered
the Cowboy Zone.
Thank you guys for joining us for another episode of the Cowboy Zone. I'm your host, Marcus Jones, coming to you live from Memphis, Tennessee. And my co-host, Lambo, will be joining us shortly. But until then, we have a very special episode for you guys. I'm sure you recognize the names from some of your favorite Facebook groups. And I'm sure you recognize the faces from our mock draft 1.0, where we went through the top 10 picks. So today, there was some trades made. We decided to go ahead and run it back with the same guys to see if their positions have changed in terms of who they think will be drafted. So, guys, appreciate you for joining me. Let the people know who you are. Start with you, Dom.
All right. I'm Dominic White, deep in the heart of Central Texas. Represent the Cowboys all the time, 24/7. My passion is all about the draft, getting to know some of these young guys ever since they were in high school and following their path through college and into the pros. And so it's a joy of mine, and I'm honored to be a part of this Cowboys zone. So let's get it.
Heck yeah. I'm Elazar Mendoza. Sorry. I'm Elazar Mendoza. I'm from Fremont, Ohio. That's Charles Woodson's hometown too. And just ready to get into this talk and talk the draft. Love this stuff.
Oh yeah. If you guys don't know who they are, they definitely love the draft. They love talking about players. They love doing their own scouting. So once we decided to do this show, I had to bring these guys back on the show. So before we get started, Dallas Cowboys Uncensored, thank you for joining us as always. Buddha, thank you for tuning in as well. I know your boy Boss probably going live in a few minutes. So thank you for ducking your head into the Cowboy Zone for a few minutes and checking us out. For you guys who are watching with us, make sure you share this. Share it to your favorite page. Share it to your personal page. Also like, and if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. I'm Bluff City Cowboys. My co-host Lambo is Cowboys Y'all. So we got two other guests coming. One is my co-host, and then we got my guy Jeff coming in from Mississippi. They're both running a little bit late, but the show must go on. So let's get into some of this Cowboys talk. First of all, before we go into draft talk, let's talk about these pro days that just happened this week, because there were a lot of players who will kind of shape how the top 10 picks will be. So let's start pretty much at the top, go through Ohio State. Of course, everybody's talking about Justin Fields and that 4.4 140 that he put on display. And then they got two very talented linebackers, Brandon Browning and Pete Werner. Both had very, very good pro days. And then Tommy Togiai kind of stole the show for the big man, putting it up and down 40 times on the bench. So, Mendoza, we'll start with you. Just talking about Ohio State, which one of those guys was most impressive to you?
Well, as you guys know, and if you've been following me and in any of the groups, you know I've been on Baron Browning. Baron Browning has been my guy. I wouldn't say his numbers were as impressive, especially when you got to follow Michael Parsons and those numbers. But I liked what I seen from him. I felt like those were around the reasonable numbers you'd see. But I felt like Togiai was someone that kind of sneakily actually stole the show. I feel like he's someone that could be on the Cowboys' radar.
Oh, I agree 100% with that. I know people knew he was strong, but I don't think they knew he was 40 reps strong.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the reps, but yeah, he put on.
Yeah, he did. What about you, Dom? Anybody that kind of stood out for you from that pro day?
I mean, you got to start at the top with the quarterback, Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
I know here recently we've heard guys like, I'm not even going to mention his name. He doesn't even be deserved to have his name mentioned here on Bluff City's page. But a former quarterback who calls himself in tune with what's really going on in the league and prospects, just slandering this man's name.
Mm-hmm.
picking up on the same old stereotypical things that we've heard about certain quarterbacks when they come out.
Yes.
But I thought he had a pretty impressive pro day to put up a 4.4 40. I didn't think he was that quick. And you and Mendoza, we all know that when it comes to pro days, go ahead and add a little bit of time
Right.
because their favorite. Yeah, but still to think
Yeah.
he's a 4.5 caliber runner. But I thought he had pretty good touch on the ball. They displayed some of the same things that you saw in Wilson's out of BYU pro day. I heard it was the same person running that pro day for Wilson. But, man, he was impressive to me. And then, of course, Togiai. That's the guy, I think, for all Cowboys we should keep our eye on, putting up that 40 in the bench. It goes to show the kind of power that you saw on tape.
Exactly.
And whenever they were in that playoff, he was definitely missed in that game. I don't think they still would have won it. I don't think they would have pulled it out, but it'd been a much competitive in the interior. And so I definitely looked at that. But, man, it was all about the linebackers for me, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I want to know where are those guys going to go. And y'all have seen me post in various groups that I've been a Baron Browning guy from day one.
Mendoza has as well.
Yep, sir.
I've watched him since he was in high school, right up the street from me in Kennedale here in Texas. And so to see what he's done, he was almost considered a bust in college. His first 2 years, it was a struggle for him. He was in a crowded linebacker room. He had to flip positions within the linebacking core, but he kept on. He plugged away, and he had his chance this past season, and you saw the athleticism on display. So I think he's still more of an ascending player. He's got what it takes in between the ears. And so, I could see Baron Browning shooting all the way up to the end of the first round. It would not surprise me.
Yeah. And
I totally agree.
What's even more impressive about what Baron Browning did, because people see, like Mendoza said, people see the 4.39 that Micah Parsons ran, and it doesn't give you perspective on just how athletic Baron Browning's combine pro day was.
Right.
4.5 for a guy at 240 something is very impressive.
Yeah.
And to add on to that, his 3-cone was a 6.7. That's ridiculous for a linebacker. Like, to put it in perspective, cornerbacks hope for a 6.8 for a corner. If you get under 7, you're doing good. This guy had a 6.76 in the 3-cone. That is ridiculous. And what that tells you is when he's inside that box, he knows how to shuffle his way around and get to where he needs to go in tight spaces. And that's what you look for in a linebacker.
Exactly. So, yeah, I just think Browning, he's making himself he's making a strong case to put himself in that top 5 linebacker position. And like I said, I think he has a chance to go near the end of the first, probably high in the second. Now, for Cowboys specific, and my board, I placed him as a 3rd round prospect, pretty high 3rd rounder, knowing that really in order for us to get him, we'll probably have to hit him up at that 44th pick. Yeah. When you have a pro day like that with the tape and also knowing that he's still learning and growing, man, I'm kind of worried that he may be off the board even by 44.
Yeah.
I am too. Now, I want to say, had he chose Florida State, he spurned Florida State like many of the linebackers that we've tried recruiting have. And I feel if he would have went to Florida State, he would have had more of a chance to be a star than he already is, because our linebacker room is nowhere near as crowded as theirs. So he definitely would have got the playing time. But he chose what he chose, and hey, he's still going to be a star.
Right, exactly. Now we got to talk about the other linebacker because I don't want to shortchange him. Pete Werner, another talented guy, playing kind of on the other side of Baron Browning. All of his stats and measurables were just a tick lower than Baron Browning's. Browning ran a 4.51. This kid ran a 4.56. Very impressive. I think Browning had a 10.10 broad. His was like 10.8. I just talked about the impressive 6.76 3-cone. Pete Werner's was a 6.8. Again, that is ridiculous for a linebacker to have a 6.8 3-cone. So I know I start with you, Dom. You just talked about you had Baron Browning as a 3rd and now he may skyrocket to a first. Where did you have a Pete Werner at, and where do you think he goes now that he has that pro day out of the way?
Yeah, Bluff, I told you that there are a handful of prospects each year where I have my grade on them based on what I've seen in their game and following those players. But I always, like I said, that handful, I allow people like yourself, Mendoza, and others to kind of influence me on a guy. I truly had him as an end of the third, early fourth, and it's because I like his athleticism. You see it on the tape. He's got solid functional athleticism. His size is there. He's got a good pace of play. He's got pretty good strength right at the point of attack, but there's some inconsistencies within his game that I've seen. Now, he has been a multi-year starter there at Ohio State, and he started even when Baron Browning wasn't. Yeah. Again, Browning was a one-year starter, and it took him a while to even get through all of that crowded room. But Werner has been there day one, showing off. But to me, he seemed to be tapped potentially wise. I think he's kind of met his ceiling as far as his athleticism. I don't see him as that ascending type of a player. So I put him there at the end of the third. I thought he would have been a great selection for us at 99 with that comp third. I thought 75 slightly too high for him. But, man, he put on a show, though. And so I'm like, oh, let me go back. Let me go back and see the tape.
Now, you talked about some of his deficiencies. His awareness isn't as high as Browning's. And I'm kind of with you. I still have him in the third. I think he's probably moved up just a little bit because he showed that athleticism. Right. But it's certain things you can't teach. And you can't teach a linebacker awareness. But you just have to be kind of cognizant of that when you're doing your analysis. Now, Mendoza, I know you're very high on Baron Browning. What do you think about Pete Werner?
Pete Werner, I like him. I feel like he's going to be just as good. Now, when it comes to rounds, I'm not so good on projecting rounds so much, but
yeah, I'm not either.
I feel like I mean, what you guys said about him, that's about right, about like that around that range. I feel like he definitely was just as good as Browning, but like you said, he's definitely not as I guess football smart. Would you say his IQ, his awareness is not as where Browning is, and but I would still take him. I would take a flyer on him for sure. Yeah. I'm curious what you guys think about the other two linebackers with Hilliard and Borland.
I don't know if Borland is even draftable, honestly.
Okay, yeah.
Hilliard, somebody may look at the measurables and say, I'll take a shot late round. But Borland's athleticism is
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I watch a lot of Buckeyes games, so like when I see him on the field, he was usually all over the place, but I think he's just a high motor guy.
Somebody may take a shot, but it's a lot of linebackers, and I think his lack of athleticism will kind of get him pushed down. Somebody may like him as a team captain type guy, and people who value that, somebody may take him late. But if we're just going just measurables, I don't know if he gets drafted. All right.
Understandable.
So before we introduce Lambo, let me say what's up to Queen. Thank you for joining us 2 weeks in a row. Appreciate your support. Shane Odom, I definitely appreciate you tuning in with us. Brian Beard Gang coming in. Thank you for joining. And Dallas Cowboys Uncensored comes in and say, yeah, this is the fastest draft class of all time. Definitely.
Yeah, it is.
So before we move forward, I got to introduce my co-host. Coming in a little bit late, but we definitely appreciate you joining us, Lambo.
I got sidetracked putting the kids to bed.
Oh, I understand.
I got your message and I was like, oh, man. Had to throw everything together real quick.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah. I mean, the purpose of the night is doing the top 10 picks. But before we do that, we want to talk a little pro day. So we still got a few minutes before we get to the actual draft. And my guy Jeff will be joining us soon as well. All right, so let's go ahead to all right, I'm getting an echo from somebody. Okay, I think it's gone. So now let's move on to another pro day, and that is let's go to Florida. Let's get it out of the way. So I don't know how many team Pitts guys we got here, but that 4-4 was pretty impressive. It definitely kind of mirrors what we saw on tape in terms of him kind of competing against elite level cornerbacks and kind of go running past them and stuff like that. Lambo, since you came in first, what did you think about Kyle Pitts and his pro day?
I mean, what everybody sees, the guy's a freak athlete, and I'm kind of starting to worry myself that I feel like I'm hyping him up so much in my head that I don't know. I feel like everybody's hyping him up so much that this could be. I mean, we don't know. It could be a big time bus candidate.
Could be.
And, but man, 4.4, 6'5", 245. A lot of people that are not on the pitch train, they try to say, he's too small to block and stuff like that. And I'm thinking Blake Jarwin is literally identical in size as far as 6'5", 245. And you don't hear those talks about Jarwin,
And not to cut you off, Lambo, this is a late night show. Who gives a shit if he can't block? Like, seriously.
Thank you, man.
Will that stop you from taking elite level tight end? That's ridiculous.
That's always the argument I keep getting every time you throw out something on him, and that's like the first thing I get back is that he's not an elite blocker. Okay, I'm not going to pick him in the top 10 for him to be an elite blocking tight end, But how about that
7 foot wingspan?
The wingspan, yes.
Yeah, 7 foot.
This is the biggest wingspan in the last 20 years of any wide receiver or tight end. That's insane.
That's insane. Yeah.
It's just amazing, man. The people that don't want him won't have to worry about it because I don't think he's going to be there too.
I don't either, and we'll get a chance to do our draft soon, and we'll see where all of us have him going. All right, Mendoza, let me know what you think about Pitts and the performance that he put on display.
Oh, I think it was an all-world performance. Nothing we've really seen. Obviously, like he said, like in the last 20 years, those numbers, that's pretty insane. Like I go back and try and think of other guys that come out, and I can't think of anybody that can come close to just what he's been described as. And I think if he were to be the pick at 10, I'm not going to be mad at it, not at all. But I feel like there's a little bit of setting him up for failure, but at the same time, he controls that. He controls that, and we have no reason to believe that he's not going to be great. My only concern with him being here would be just handling, being a Dallas Cowboy and how he would handle that, and just the allure of that. I think that would be my only concern. Yeah.
Man, and I forgot to mention the 10-yard split, the 1.50 10-yard split. That is literally, Henry Ruggs ran a 1.48 for comparison.
That's insane.
It's wild.
All right, Dom, let us know what you think about Pitts in this performance.
Yeah, I was all about Team Rashawn Slater at pick 10. And then I allowed myself to have about a 3-day stint where I was Team Pitts. Then I got off that quick, and then now I'm back on it. And so, man, I really don't think we can go wrong here at the 10th pick. But whenever you're looking at Pitts, I went back and I watched some of his stuff last night, and you just see him running by everybody. It doesn't matter who it is. And one of the reasons why I watched him last night was I was trying to check out the cornerback from Kentucky. So I want to have a little bit more. Kelvin Joseph, number 1, a guy that's starting to shoot up boards and seems like he's going to be a top 5 cornerback. So when watching him, man, I saw how he just blazed by Joseph.
Exactly.
Touchdown. And then I see some more. I see him playing against Horn. Horn pestered him quite a bit, which is why that's a game that I think you kind of put that on Horn's board and put it on his belt, because he showed his competitiveness. But, man, Pitts is just repeatedly beating some of the best linebackers, the best strong safeties, the best cornerbacks in this draft. And so you can't deny what that man is. I'm tired of hearing the generational tag being thrown on this man.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put that out there, but you see that when you stack him up against any other pass catching receiver in any draft, he's going to stack up well in any year, especially the last decade or two.
Yeah.
So if he's the guy for us, fine. I'll move on and be looking forward to seeing what we're going to do with that second pick.
Now, for me, when I use the term generational, I think of generational as 3 to 5 years. Some people think all time, but this is a not for long league. I can't look at 20 years back and say generational. I look at the past 5 years.
That generational word just, I don't know what it is. It just rubs me the wrong way. I don't know why. And I've only heard it used so far for this draft for the two players, him and Sewell. And both now are getting talk where like, why are you using generational for them? They're not generational. It's like, okay, well, are they generational or not? So it's like, I just don't like that word.
I don't think Sewell is generational, but he's a very good left tackle.
Yeah, I don't consider.
I can use that with him.
I forgot where I had heard that from. It was like an article or somebody said it, and
No, you're right, Mendoza. Everyone was calling him a Hall of Famer.
Okay, yeah. See, okay, I knew wasn't lying about that.
You go back to October, November. Some of those initial media guys who are always the first to hit it. Yeah, they were calling him a generational player all time.
Yes.
Comparing him to the greats and even considering him a Hall of Famer. And then Pitt started to get that love about late November. Mm-hmm. But those two are considered the best two non-quarterback, the best of this class.
Yeah, they're both offensive players too.
I couldn't call Sewell generational because there are probably 3 tackles in last year's draft that are better than him, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what people were saying, that he wouldn't even be number one like he would if he was in last year's.
Oh no, not at all. And all right, before I introduce the new guy who just joined us, Jaquez, thank you for joining us. Florida Cowboy, appreciate you tuning in. My guy Lee, the Niners fan, thank you for touching base. We haven't done the top 10 yet. We're just talking pro days right now. So thank you for clicking in with us. We'll get there in a minute. BJ Nix, I know you're probably working hard at the shop tonight, so thank you for tuning in. And Milton Green looks like a new name, so thank you for joining us. Make sure you subscribe wherever you are. So we got our 5th guest joining us for the round table. This is my guy Jeff out of Mississippi. Thank you for joining us, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Sorry I'm late, guys. I was at work and session kind of ran over a little bit, but I'm here now. What's up, Lambo? What's up, Don? What's up?
How you doing, man?
Mendoza? What's up, man?
Don't feel bad. I was late,
Jeff?
too.
Yeah, Lambo. I saw you. I saw you was late.
All right, so Kyle Trask didn't do a lot, so we won't talk about him much. Let me ask this question before I just glance over him. Does anybody think he'll go top 10? I don't want to kind of reveal your board. Okay. All right. We're on the same page then.
No, he would not go top 10.
Okay, so let's talk
I've seen some Bears fan though, like Bears. There's a couple of Bears fans I've seen that are really high on him. I'm not sure why, but yeah, I don't know.
Mendoza, they were high on Trubisky. They were high on Trubisky too. You saw how they're paying that.
Good point.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's talk about another kid out of Florida who had a pretty impressive pro day, and that would be Kadarius Toney, the shifty wide receiver. Now, this one was really surprising to me. He ran a 4.4 140. I think I'm the only one who thinks this. I thought he was a much quicker than fast player. He does not look fast to me on tape. I see Dom shaking his head. I see he agrees. I didn't
think he was that fast.
I see him shaking people. I see him breaking tackles, but I've never seen him just flat out outrun somebody. So this 40 is one of many that makes me think this pro day stuff is just
some of those hometown guys. That's
holy shit.
Somebody in Mendoza's camp agrees with us. All right. Jeff, we'll start with you. What do you think about Kadarius Toney? Do you agree with what I said about him being a quicker than fast guy?
I would agree with that. I do think his number
showed up on CP time.
Who said that?
Queen.
Well, I'm sorry. Like I said, I was doing something. I had a couple of prior obligations, but I'm here now, so don't worry about that. Looking at his pro day, it was okay. I agree that thought maybe he was quicker and fast. His numbers were pretty good.
Yeah.
I still don't think that. Me personally, I just don't see him. And I'm trying not to take away from the guy because Pitts just kind of overshadows everything. I can see him going possibly late, middle, first, late, somewhere in there. I think he's going to be a pretty good receiver. I'm not going to say he's going to be great. I'm not saying he's going to be anywhere near what I think Pitts is going to be. I'm not saying he's going to be anywhere near what Jamar Chase is going to be. I do think he's going to be better than Waddle from Alabama. I will say that. I'm just not that high on Waddle. I don't know why. I think he's a solid receiver overall, and I think he'll be a good pickup. Not for us, of course, but for a team that's receiver needy.
Okay. So, Lambo, do you think Tony's a first-round receiver?
Yeah.
I've never asked a question to you before.
Yeah, I do. I've always been a fan of Kadarius Toney. I like the guy, and I always thought when I watch him on tape, I don't really see the straight line speed that the 40 he clocked at shows.
Right.
But I see, like you said, a very quick player. The human joystick, pretty much. Just so quick, man. He can get in and out of cuts ridiculously fast. It's amazing. So I do see him to be more quick. I feel like I don't believe that 40 time really. I thought he was a little bit slower than that, but who knows, man? All these guys are running at blazing speed, it seems.
And with that being said, let me ask y'all guys this: being that we hadn't had an official NFL combine, how much of that with the 40 times and stuff like that do y'all feel is padded or, just not done by the NFL professional people? How much y'all think that contributes to what's going on with the stats?
Dom, we'll let you answer that question.
Yeah, for the last 5 drafts, there had been some statistical data that's been placed together that's been put out there each year for the last 5 drafts where scouts know that to add 0.06 to all times. And so you've seen some, I don't know who you may follow on Twitter that are more national guys that are plugged into the draft, but they've shared that too. And so that's just not me saying that, but that's something that you got to take note of is go ahead and add almost a tenth of a second, half of a tenth of a second to these times. It's something that they do. I like how Brian Broaddus always jokes, if you love a player enough, you're going to clock him at the 38-yard line. And so, yeah, you can't always trust the pro day numbers. You always want to match it up with what the tape says.
Yeah.
Right.
And like for Tony, I think Lambo used the best word. He's that human joystick.
Yeah.
When you talk about fluidity, athleticism, wiggle, twitchiness, he has all of that. Man, if that dude ever donates his body to science, I want them to check those knees because I ain't never seen nobody stop, break, and cut like him. He reminds me of an old school Peter Ward. Or Reggie Bush. He moves like Bush.
That's a nice comparison.
To me, he's even shiftier. He's even shiftier than Bush, but that eyesight, that vision to see guys coming and know when to stop on a dime and actually do it, he uses it at the right time. But yeah, 4.4, 4.3 type speed, I don't know about that. I question that. I just never saw him pull away from anyone.
Yeah, that's exactly what I see, man.
Yeah, another guy that he really reminds me of, I don't know if you guys remember this guy, a kid out of West Virginia named Noel Devine. Little short, stocky running back. That's who I see when I see Tony. Him and Peter Ward. But I like the Bush comparison as well. All right,
hey,
go ahead, Lambo.
I just want to mention because I've brought up Jaylen Darden a few times, just because he's going to go later on. So I feel like he's going to be at a spot that you really want to look at him. But the highest missed tackle rate per touch in 2020 among wide receivers, Jaylen Darden was number 1 with 31%. Kadarius Toney was right behind him at 30%.
Yeah.
So
interesting stat.
Okay. Yeah.
And
I actually hope Darden is one of those guys that we take late in the draft. I would love him on the team. Love his attributes.
Here's the other thing the two of them have in common. a little bit of a questionable hands.
Yeah.
So Darden had, I think, one of the second highest drop rates in all of football. I think it was 9% the balls, targets that he had, he dropped, which was a problem with Pitts when he was a year before. And then someone else that escapes me. Oh, De'Ami Brown,
From,
UNC,
North Carolina.
Yeah. So he fixed that a little bit this past season, just like Pitts did, Tony as well. But overall in their careers, that was an issue. So you got to watch out for that.
Okay.
But what we would draft Darden at, I mean, we probably could work on his hands. I mean, even like if he was a first rounder, I can see that. But I've been doing mocks and stuff to have him going as late as 7. I don't think he'll go that late.
Yeah.
But if I can get that type of talent in the like 5th, 6th, 7th round, hey, give me that all day long.
The only problem I don't have a problem with that pick, but Dallas has never drafted a fast receiver. Never.
No.
Like they'll take him in free agency. They'll take the kid from North Texas. I can't think of his name now.
Even going on.
No, playing with the Chargers.
The kid that's with the Chargers now.
Jaylen
Guyton.
They'll take a guy like Guyton or the other kid that's in our on our practice squad that everybody loves. It's like 28, but he's been in the league 2 years.
Was
John Vay?
Who?
John Vay?
Yeah, John Vay Johnson. He's like 28, but he's like in his second, third year.
I think they let him go.
You can go back to Randall Williams. Randall Williams wasn't drafted either, was he? I remember he was the speedster that we tried to way back. I'm going back a little ways, but
yeah, I remember Randall Williams. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but we just don't draft short pass receivers. I don't know why. I mean, the closest thing to that was Ryan Switzer, and he didn't even last a year.
Oh yeah, no, not Ryan. I was gonna say, how do you guys feel about Rondale Moore then? I like what I see from Rondale.
I do, but we got to take him in the second probably.
Yeah,
right.
You definitely have to take him.
A little too early for him. That's probably out of range, but I just like what I see from the kid.
Yeah.
All right, so we're talking a little bit of defensive end. Let's take it down to Miami, where they have 3 very talented defensive ends. I like one a whole lot more than the other ones, but we got Greg Rousseau, Jalen Phillips, and Quincy Roche. All these guys are pretty good pass rushers according to their stats. All their pro days are pretty impressive. Jalen Phillips, of course, ran a 4.56, 6'5", 260. Rousseau ran like a 4.68, I believe. And this was surprising to me. I didn't realize Phillips and Rousseau were so much similar in size.
They were.
That was a shock. I don't. When I look at them on film, I don't see Phillips being a 6'5", 260 guy. That was a shock. I see Brian's putting a couple of names in the comments, Tavon Austin and Rocket Ishmael. Those guys weren't drafted by us, though.
Yeah, those guys we signed.
Yeah, those guys we signed. I was talking about purely guys that we draft. We never draft short, fast guys. Even Joey Galloway, that was a trade.
Yeah. Oh, man. We gave up too much in that trade.
Yeah. All right, so we'll start with you this time, Mendoza. Just talking about the Miami defensive ends. Which one do you prefer over the others? And kind of tell us why.
I think I prefer Phillips over Rousseau. There's just something about Rousseau that just, like we've heard before, like just screams Taco Charlton all over again. And I'm not trying to go down that path again. And I feel like probably be the same thing with Phillips too, to be honest, with any of these edge rushers at 10 or in the first round. But I think I just like Phillips better than Rousseau. I just feel like he has more of the measurables. I just feel like he plays better. Yeah. And the only thing that would I'd question about him would be the maturity level and just how he's going to handle being a pro. But other than that, I think Phillips.
Okay, gotcha. Because he quit football for a year.
Yeah, and it seems like, I believe if he's the one, doesn't he? He's into music. I believe he's like a musician or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like he may not necessarily love football, So I don't know.
Sound like a David Urban.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
I won't give my David Urban thoughts. I'll leave that alone. All right, so Jeff, let me know what you think about the guys from Miami: Quincy Roche, Greg Rousseau, Jalen Phillips.
I'm higher on Phillips than I am on any of them. I don't like the fact that Rousseau And we're gonna have to deal with that in this draft. The guy that decided to sit out last year, I want to know how much is that gonna affect them when it comes to their actual playing time. Now, they're all working out and trying to stay in shape, but it's the difference between actually staying in shape and actually gaining shape.
Right.
So I think that's going to play a big part in it. But looking at Phillips, 4'5", he's 6'5", 260, an 80-inch wingspan. That's a big dude.
Yeah.
An 80-inch wingspan. If I were to have an end, I would want him to have a wingspan like that, because not only with that wingspan, he got a 36-inch vertical. So that's a lot of batted down balls, a lot of getting in the throwing lanes and stuff like that. I love his measure. So I like him a little bit better than I like all the rest of them.
All right, what about you, Dom?
Right.
What you got for us?
Okay. All right. I think as a draft community, we've now overcorrected when it comes to Rousseau. Now, I was one of the first people back in November to state, when we were meddling around with that fourth round or that fourth overall pick, and we're talking about team tank, let's get the best pick and all of that. And, some national media guys were throwing Rousseau in as the Cowboys' potential top.
I almost spit my water when you said that.
And I was one of the first to say, hold on, pump the brakes. I don't even think he's a top 20 type pick. Now everybody has moved on to this. Let's crap on Rousseau. But if you really go back and watch him play, he showed some dominant things on tape. They played him all over the yard. And so I can get into my notes and tell you the exact games I watched. Well, I actually enjoyed watching him play as a 3 technique, because he used his size, he used what athleticism he had to be able to navigate in all of the trash. He's got the type of frame where he can add on pounds, and so he's already a big guy. I don't think he's going to be all Pro Bowl level type player, but I think he can get on a team if they put him in the right system with the right weight program. I think he can stick around in the league for quite some time. He can be a nice rotational player up front. But to try to project him as one of the better defensive ends in this draft, I just would not put him in that top 3. One thing he needs to work on is being a guy so tall is he's got to get a little bit lower. His pad levels start to get up. He played too skinny, if that makes any sense to you guys. So whenever you're trying to shoot gaps and all, you still got to maintain some integrity to make sure your linebackers aren't getting eaten up. And I thought he played a little bit of hero ball. So you saw his stats grow. So really, the scary thing about him is we saw 1 year of production, and you haven't seen him since because he sat out last year. If he would have played this year, still would have managed to get 8 or 9 sacks, you would have felt more comfortable about him being a potential first rounder. But so I had to press pause on all of the Rousseau dumping. Still, though, Rousseau is the second best defensive end on this team. I've been watching Roche since he was with Temple, hoping that he was going to be a transfer to go to Baylor when Matt Rule went there, but instead he went to Miami because Matt Rule bounced. Roche, I just always laugh and say guys like him and Osai, those are Baltimore Ravens all day long. 3-4 outside linebacker side that system. Phillips, he's the number 1 guy there. For me, the thing that I'm concerned about him, where I wouldn't pick him in the first, is the injury history, the concussions, having once retired from the game and then coming back. I followed him when he was in high school, number 1 recruit in all of the land. Was going to go to my Irish, but went out west anyway. But they're all talented guys. I think they're going to stick around on ball clubs for quite some time. I don't think any of them would be considered one of the best in the game, but they're going to do some damage in the league.
All right, these guys did a great job of breaking them down. Now, boy, you got anything to add to that?
Pretty much hit. Yeah, everybody hit everything. I would lean towards Phillips, although I don't prefer us reaching for either of them in the first round, and obviously in the second round, I would actually prefer to go another direction, honestly. But I think that they'll be solid contributors wherever they go. Rousseau, I mean, to be 6'6" and have an 83-inch wingspan, it's crazy to me that he only had a 30-inch vertical.
Yeah,
that's wild. Like, not that it's a huge deal, but I don't know.
I mean, when I see 30-inch
your
vertical,
athleticism.
when I see 30-inch vertical, I normally think 300-pound guys.
Right, he don't have that much explosiveness.
Right.
Yeah. So
now,
yeah.
go ahead, sorry.
No, that's about it. Yeah, and then the 7.5 3-cone wasn't necessarily that impressive either. So
yeah. Now, to add on to what Dom said, because I was one of those people that's been bagging on Rousseau for about 6 months now, and I've been consistently posting. My biggest nightmare is Jerry Jones started talking that War Daddy crap, and Rousseau's name starts to come up at 10. Anybody that follows me knows I've been saying this for months.
Yep.
The thing I don't like about him is, like Dom says, he's just a straight up runner. He looks like Frankenstein to me. Like when I see him cross the line, it's like, and then he grabs the guy. And when he's playing end, he goes around, he comes back, and he grabs the quarterback from behind and tackles him. All of his sacks are just like that. I've never seen him use his hands. I've never seen him really bend. And I'm going to challenge you guys on this one because I love Terrell Basham. If you want to see what hands should look like for a defensive end, put Terrell Basham and Greg Rousseau side by side, and you tell me which one you think should be a first-round pick. I'm telling you, it's night and day.
I was gonna say I think I like Basham better than Phillips, and I think he's actually probably my number one rusher, to be honest. I really like Carlos Basham. I really like him. I think he does a great job with his hands, and just I feel like he gets it.
Yeah, Mark has been on that train for quite some time now, the Basham train.
All right, I was confused because I thought you were talking about the Terrell Basham that we just picked up. So you talking about Boogie Basham?
Yeah, Boogie Basham.
Got it. I'm about to say
Basham.
The Basham we just picked up, who used to play for Ohio in college, I was high on him, but the Jets just had him out of position. But Boogie Basham from Wake Forest, like you said in a little chat between the two of us, it's not the sexy thing to get a strong side defensive end, but man, he's like a Greek god. I mean, you see the guy, and there's not many defensive ends in this draft or any other that look like him, and he's put up solid production his whole career. And last year, I was surprised that he didn't come out because I thought he was an early second round defensive end. I don't think he did anything this year to really improve his stock, but he definitely didn't do anything to hurt it. Yeah. So, Basham was a forgotten defensive end in this draft.
But I love his hands, and I like when he goes for a tackle, he doesn't go to put the guy on the ground. He goes to, like, injury. Like, I know we shouldn't say that, but when Basham hits somebody, he's trying to put you through the dirt. And I love that about him. He plays now.
That's what we need.
Yeah, we need attitude.
Yeah.
That's one thing our defense lacks. Our War Daddy doesn't even have that attitude.
Right. All right, so I got two more teams I want to go through real quick before we get to this top 10 draft. So next we got to go to LSU because we got a couple of guys that everybody's kind of high on. One of them probably go top 10. So that's Jamar Chase. Start with him. Another guy, his 40 time surprised me. 4.38. I did not see that from Chase. Now, I heard my guy Boss Cowboy last night, and he was saying it didn't surprise him. So let me get you guys' take. When you watch Jamar Chase in that one great year he had, did you see 4.38 speed from him? Lambo, we'll start from you and we'll go clockwise.
I thought he was going to be in that 4.43, 4.44 type range. So I wasn't expecting the 4.38, but like we said, add the point, was it 0.06 or 0.05 to these guys, as Dom said. So this extremely talented guy. I will say also the year off doesn't bother me with him. If anything, I think it's going to give him even more fresh legs coming into this his rookie year. And anybody that gets him is going to be lucky, a lucky person. I'm just going to go record say when Philly traded out of 6, that was the first thing that went through my mind is we ain't got to go against Chase 2 times a year. So I'm feeling good about that. But yeah, he is impressive. 41 inch vertical. best wide receiver in the draft, in my opinion, and I think he's going to be really good.
Okay. Don, what about you? Did you see that 4.38 speed on tape?
This is a hard one for me.
Really?
I watched him in person,
Okay.
and so I would say that I saw a 4.4 type athlete but his game was really more about right off the line. He was able to get off the line no matter if you played him physical, no matter if you tried to do a little soft coverage. He just had the football instincts and intellect and how to get himself open. And he caught a lot of contested balls. So that's probably where it kind of surprised you. It's like often the guy is right there with him, but he's catching that ball. So how fast is he? So I understand why you would think 4.38. I don't quite know about that, but he was definitely a pretty fast athlete. So I had him more maybe a high 4.4.
Yep, me too.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. All right, Mendoza, you got anything to add to that about Ja'Marr Chase?
Yeah, Dom was pretty spot on with that. I remember when Jefferson came out last year, and they were talking about whether or not he was better than Chase last year when they were they projected that they both might come out, or actually not that they both come out, but just that Jefferson was better. And I was like, I don't know. And now after the years gone by and seeing where he's at, I guess I don't know. Chase is pretty good, and I think that speed is about right though. You know, I think that's. Yeah.
All right, Jeff, I think we pretty much beat Ja'Marr Chase. And before you answer, guys, let's get those likes up. We're about to go into our top 10. So make sure you like this. Make sure you share it. Make sure you keep giving us these great comments and giving us your input. Now, Jeff, I won't let you talk about Ja'Marr Chase because there's another receiver in LSU.
I want to talk about Chase.
Okay, but I know there's another receiver that you really love in LSU, and that's Terence Marshall. You talk to me about him all the time. So if you want to talk about Chase, go ahead and throw your 2 cents in. But you start us off about Terence Marshall and what you see.
You kind of threw me for a whirl on them because, like I said, I was prepared to talk about Chase. I need to switch my notes up. Huh?
Let us know what you think about Chase first, and then talk about your guy Marshall.
All right, let me do Chase first. I'm kind of with the group. I didn't see him as a 4.3 guy. Marcus, we oftentimes talk about those generational talents that you talk about. I do see Chase as being one of those generational talents. And if he's there at 10 when we pick, then we got a problem on our hands. Okay. I think that would make the move on from Gallup a lot easier if we decide to go that route. But if he's there at 10 and Slater's gone and Pitts is gone, I don't know if you can pass up on that talent. And definitely to piggyback on what Limbo said, if we pass on him and then he fall to a team like Philly, I don't know if I can deal with it.
He wouldn't make it past the Giants, but yeah.
I know he wouldn't.
I don't like that either, though.
Yeah, it's still in our division. So
imagine
I wouldn't like that
Holiday together. Chasing
that's gonna be ugly.
Imagine Cooper and Chase with Lamb in the slot. Oh man, goodness gracious! And trade Gallup for an instant starter on defense. We'll be all right.
And then let's not forget that they still got what's our guy from Ole Miss, the tight end, the Giants.
Evan
Ingram.
Yeah, that's an and then with maybe a healthy Saquon Barkley coming back, that's a scary offense.
Yeah,
if that were to happen.
I don't think Chase will fall to 11 or 12 though. But yeah,
I don't think he would either. But if it happens.
All right, Jill. So you and I had a discussion a couple of days ago because you think Terence Marshall is a lock for the first round. Let us know why you think that.
Let's see. What can I say about Marshall?
I mean, the 4.38 speed, 6'2", 200 pounds. That's evident.
Right, and then you got to look at the lineage of receivers that come from LSU. They're going to be well coached. They always almost stars in the league. I just don't think that you can go wrong with any receiver from LSU in the top part. Of course, you got your third and fourth receivers and stuff like that, but the 4.3 speed definitely. I mean, the other measurables and intangibles he got, I think it could be up for discussion. I just say it like that, whether he's a first round talent or not.
All right. So, guys, we're almost at 1 hour, so I won't go through everybody. Does anybody else think Marshall is a first round pick? Just curious.
He'll be a late first round pick.
I'm borderline. Dom, I see you just unmuted yourself.
I would not put him in that first round. However, so many are propping him up. It just wouldn't surprise me with this wide receiver class. It's that each one of them have something to their game that I love, and each of them have something that I'm a little bit hesitant about. So it wouldn't surprise me if he was the fourth receiver taken off the board.
So you think he go over Tony?
Yeah.
Okay.
I definitely can see him in those later teams that made the playoffs, like your Kansas Cities and stuff. Like he won't probably fall there for it, whatever. But I can definitely see somewhere down in that line where somebody need a receiver.
So I'm assuming you see him kind of like a Justin Jefferson last year. People see him like a big slot, but that 40 speed kind of suggests otherwise, and he goes late first.
Now his vertical wasn't bad either. 39 is vertical. I mean, it's not the 41 inch vertical that Chase got, but I mean, there's just 2 inches difference.
Yeah.
You know,
all right.
That's not bad either.
Real quick, I got 2 more players I want to talk about. We got to talk about the guy from LSU, Big Tyler Shelvin, 6'2". He came in at a slim 350. Slim 350.
Slim.
Yeah, slim. I see we lost somebody. Who was that? It was Mendoza. That was Jeff. But yeah, he came in about what people expected. Does that change your views on him in terms of drafting? Mendoza, we'll start with you, and then we'll go around counterclockwise. Dom and Lambo.
No, I wouldn't say it changes my views so much. I'd be curious about playing at that weight for 17 games now, and just him managing to just being able to hold up for an NFL season. But no, it wouldn't scare me off or deter me from him. I still think he would be a great player for us, and I'd still go get him.
Do you think a lot of people have him projected mid to late third? You think he stays there? You think he drops around because of that weight?
Maybe a couple spots, but I don't really think it drops so much.
Okay. All right, Don, what do you think?
You know, looking at him, it kind of upset me a little bit. It made me go back to thinking that I need to reevaluate where he would be in this draft. I know that they reported that in years past he'd actually been a bit bigger, and so weight-wise I was fine, but looking at his overall measurables and stacking him up to other defensive tackles and other drafts, it made me think I think we could get him in the 4th round if the Cowboys still so choose to try to get a one-tech. That one-tech group in Dallas has already turned into a pretty I can't say deep, but more crowded. Whenever they decided to bring Antoine Woods back, they got Brent Urban, which was a pretty solid pickup. And people finally realized that because he was one of the studs for that Chicago interior line. And then we picked up your Clemson Tiger, Watkins. And I don't think Watkins is a progress stopper or a stopper from them looking somewhere else. But
I doubt he makes
I look at Shelvin, I go 4th rounder.
It would be hard for me to see a guy that runs a 5.440 go day 2. That'd be hard for me to see that one. As much as people harp on measurables, and then you had a under 30 vertical, I think it was like 28. That one be tough. And then to add on to that, okay, he's 350 now. What is his playing weight gonna be?
You know what?
20 pounds
you know what? If he stayed at 350 and went into camp at 350, you always lose weight over the season as a player if you're doing things right.
Yeah.
So he might even lose up to 15 during the season, be more down to 335, which to me, he still has the power, and that may help his agility a little bit more in that bend in the knees to stay low and to pick up those double teams. So that I actually love seeing that. I love seeing that about him being that low because, man, I was thinking 380. I'm serious.
That's,
okay.
They-
he looks like a big boy.
They once said he was 390 at one point while at LSU. So that was promising to see. So if he sticks that way throughout this offseason and he get into a camp, I'm very interested to see what he can bring. But still, I'm putting him in that 4th round.
Okay. Now, Bo, what about you? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts was also going to be that I think he's going to slide to a day 3 guy. I still like him. It is a little concerning. I do trust in our strength and conditioning program, and if he's got a heart for the game, I think it won't be an issue getting him back down where he needs to be. But as far as I think he could be a good big nasty for us, but I would feel a lot more comfortable in that 4th round range, which is where I think he will go somewhere in between around that 4th round range. I just see him being I feel like he could really contribute. I mean, there was the Alabama game. There was a screen, and he was completely washed out of the play. But the guy runs down the right guard and drills him in the side. Like he just wanted to hit somebody. And it seems like, the play it was done for him. But he was like, no, I'm going to hit somebody on this play. I just want a big, nasty one technique like that that's not going to mess around. That's going to get down there in the trenches. And he's going to give it to the O-line when he's out there 100%. And I think he could do that. And I'd be cool with him in the 4th round.
Yeah. And like Dustin Hawkins said, if his weight got down to 325 weight, I would love him at 325. Definitely. But I just got to see he's there. Dom gave me some new news. I didn't know. He was at 380, 390 at one point. I thought he was more like a 365, 370 guy. So here at 350 makes me feel a little bit more encouraged than I did before.
Hey, I've been at 380 before. I've been 381, so it ain't too hard to get to 381 and still look good, be able to wiggle. I'm about 350 right now, so don't get too wide-eyed on it.
Hey, I was 345 about 6 months ago, so I can't talk. I was right there with Shelvin, same size pretty much. All right, so I got one more guy I got to talk about. Then we'll start this up, and that is the Joker, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, linebacker. Came in with an impressive 4.15 short shuttle and a 6.83 cone. We talked about that before with Barry and Browning. That's just really impressive for a linebacker. It's more impressive for Browning because he's 245. But even with Koramoah, who another good thing is, I heard he was at like 222 or 223 for his pro day, 221. So that's good for him as well. Now you don't have to pencil him in strictly as maybe a safety. He has enough weight that he can play that wheel for a team. All right, so Jeff, since you just joining us, let us know what you think about Joker. Where do you think he goes?
I love Joker. I love his intent. I love a player that can give you multiple positions on a team. I feel like that, just like with our Keanu O'Neal signing, I love that the fact that he can slide back to safety and he can also come in and play linebacker. If it wasn't the 10th pick for us, I would like Joker. If we was more picking 15 midway like that, I would take Joker. But like I said, I love his measurements. I love his intangibles. Like I said, I love his versatility, and that's one of the things I look for in a player like that. And what can you do to make us to play more position for us and do more for the team? And I feel like Joker can do, like I said, the wheel linebacker and or safety. We can kind of cover two positions with that. So I like that about him. I would like him, like I said, back at 15 somewhere like that, though, not 18.
Yeah. All right, Lambo. Let us know what you think about Joker, because I know you're high on Parsons. Let us know what you think about the other top linebacker in this draft.
I love some Parsons, but Joker is right behind him, man. And he's for sure first rounder. He's not getting out of the teens, in my opinion. Right. Definitely going to slide into the wheel for somebody and just, fly around. I do have a fear. I'm going to go and say that I have this strange feeling he's going to be an Eagle. I don't know why. I just feel like I see the Eagles drafting him. It's a gut thing. But, yeah, great athlete, great dude. and yeah, just really good athlete, man.
Okay. Now, Mendoza, Dom, did you guys want to add anything about Joker, or we're gonna go straight into this draft?
He pretty much covered it. I feel like I believe I mentioned before, he's kind of like reminded me of Isaiah Simmons last year,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like the safety linebacker, which is it, but I feel like he would be a good will linebacker, come in and kind of like what Keanu was gonna do. Just that guy that's gonna I can maybe do a little covering. He's gonna be down in the box, stuff like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
I did find out recently he was also from the 757, which somehow I didn't know because that's where I'm from in the Norfolk, Virginia Beach area. And I tell you, that area just produces talent, man. I'm talking about talent. Like you're talking about like guys with, I don't know what it is, but everybody out of the 757 back home is just a super athlete. You're talking Vic, you're talking Iverson, there's Cam Chancellor. There's so many guys, the list goes on forever. So yeah, I think he's going to be a good one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Dom, you have anything to add, or you want to go into the draft?
Yeah, I'll just be brief. If there's any player that I've seen the most, it's this one. I've seen every single snap of this young man's career at Notre Dame, being a fan of theirs. And so I know the other day the Cowboys coaching staff this offseason have already used again that word multiple, which may shake up a whole bunch of people. But he's the type of a linebacker that you can use whether you're in a 3-4 look, a 4-3 look as that will, or a strong safety. You can play him in a dime. He can be that middle linebacker for you. He can play all over the yard. The question to me isn't really, do you have a position to play him? It's more of, do they know what to do with him? Because you just have to be creative and imaginative. And so I feel a bit more confident about this defensive coordinator with a player like him. So if they were to pick him in that early first round, maybe in a trade back situation, you never know. I know a lot of people keep thinking about staying put and maybe even potential move up.
Yeah.
But man, if Dallas were to move back a little bit and they're able to get in, great. But at 10, it's a slightly too rich of a position for me, even with Parsons or Owusu-Koramoah.
Yeah, I would have to see them get a big nose tackle to cover him up, and I don't think they would do it. I'm just like that one. Seeing them sign Keanu Neal and kind of just saying off top he's playing linebacker, that gives me a little bit of hope that maybe they have a plan for a guy that size. But I got to see it to believe. All right, guys, so we're right at an hour. We're about to go into the top 10. Again, everybody who's watching, thank you for sticking with us. Keep those comments coming in. Make sure you like. Make sure you share because we're all going to give our top 10 picks. So, unlike last time where everybody made one pick each, we're going to do it different this time. And, guys, if you're not talking, make sure you mute them out. So, what we're going to do this time is, like we did with the 10th pick before, we're going to do a 2-minute countdown. And then where you guys have your names at currently, which is right here, you'll go in and put the name of the player that you want to see picked at that spot. So if you guys don't know how to change your names, you click on the 3 dots by your picture and click edit name. All right, so we're at an hour, 4 minutes. We'll try to get through this in an hour if we can. But I know it's going to be a lot of good dialogue coming. So, guys, make sure you bear with us. Should be some very interesting talk and a lot of good discussion. So, let's get into it. Let me take this down. All right. So, we got 2 minutes on the clock. I apologize. I didn't get to switch up the draft spots, but I'll let you guys know who's picking where if you don't remember. All right, so let's get the clock started. Guys, again, put the name you want in the box. And everybody who's watching, let us know who you think we're taking at the first pick, who the Jags are taking at the first pick. I think this one's going to probably be pretty obvious for everybody, but we'll see. We'll see if these pro days have swayed anybody's views. We're starting off with Jacksonville first, guys. Jacksonville. We're going through all 10 teams ahead of us. All right, I see everybody's got their picks in early, so we'll go back to the main screen, and let's go ahead and reveal who everybody picked. All right, and just like I thought, there was a consensus. Trevor Lawrence, first pick to Jacksonville. Now, before we move ahead, does anybody think there's a chance Jacksonville takes someone other than Lawrence? Anybody?
Nah.
Nobody? Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get back to it and go to the second pick. And to me, this is where the draft gets interesting at, because we don't know what Jacksonville is going to, not Jacksonville, the Jets are going to do. The trade was very interesting because the Niners didn't try to move up to 2. What that tells me is either the Jets are comfortable with the quarterback they have, and the Niners think the quarterback they want is going to slide to 3, or Shanahan and LaFleur have been kind of talking, because LaFleur came from San Fran as well as the head coach. Maybe the Jets kind of let them know this is who we're taking, and the Niners feel comfortable that the guy that we want at 3 will be there. So let's start the clock up, and let's see who you guys think the New York Jets are going to take at 2. And again, guys, let us know what you think in the comments. I feel like this is a spot where we're going to all have different names at. I'm going to be very interested to see where everybody goes. I see we got Eric Berger saying Zach Wilson. Brian says Sewell. Lee says the Jets take a tackle. And Queen says Sewell as well. So we got a minute 15. I see Lambo's the only one still kind of thinking it over. Take your time, Lambo. You got a minute left.
Our stuff's showing on the screen.
Oh, sorry. That's why you didn't do it. Okay. All right, I got too much stuff going on over here. Hopefully everybody else didn't notice that. All right, so it looks like everybody. This one's not much of a surprise, but we will talk about it. All right, so Jeff is going with the crowd with Sewell. The rest of us are taking Zach Wilson. So Jeff, since you're the odd man out, the lone wolf, let us know why you think they take Sewell.
Well, first of all, I do think it's a slim chance that they take Wilson. But the simple fact that they hadn't tried to move Darnold at all, and this guy's a defensive coach, and Darnold is still young. I mean, Darnold is not a bad quarterback. He just didn't have a good team around him. So I think they may want to kind of, they still got him cheap on a rookie deal. They want to try to see what they got in him. And so they just want to try to put some pieces around him. You see what they did in free agency. They gave him some receivers. They gave him a pass catching running back. Mm-hmm. They put some weapons around him. So I think now what they want to do is ensure that he's going to be upright and then, just secure that and take a tackle.
Yeah. Now, I agree with you, Jeff. And to add on to what you said, I don't like Adam Gase as an OC. I think he's been overhyped. So maybe they want to see what Darnold looks like without being with Gase, because we've seen guys like Tannehill take a step forward, and the 2 receivers in Miami, and the running back that went to the Cardinals, Drake. So maybe they feel like Darnold's not the reason it was Gase, so they want to see it. But me, when you're picking that high, they don't have to get rid of Darnold because his contract is cheap. To me, this gives them time to groom a Zach Wilson, to not have to throw him out there to the fire because he didn't play at what's considered a high-level competition. But I don't know if everybody else agrees with me. I feel like new coach, new OC, he wants his own guy. he's in a rare opportunity where he pretty much gets to hand pick them, and this is going to be the guy that determines the next 5 to 10 years of his career. I don't think he wants to leave that in Darnold's hands.
Now, if that were me, what I would do is I would have tried to move Darnold while I could get something for him, and then still draft Wilson, and then maybe bring me a veteran guy in that Wilson can kind of learn under, instead of having him to, I guess you would say, compete with a Darnold. Because you got to think that Darnold going to have the leg up on him, just because he's got a few years of experience.
And I see Queen made a good point about the Jets have been using Sam Darnold in all their promotions. Some teams are pretty shady about that, and if they think they're going to get rid of a guy, they will start promoting somebody else. I mean, we saw them do it with Dak in Dallas last year, so it's not surprising.
And we saw them release a little season teaser without Dak before the contract hit.
Right, exactly.
Making people think, oh, Dak might be out of here. No, he's still in there.
All right. Anybody else want to add anything on Wilson?
Yeah, I think you hit it. I think you hit it on the head. I think you go ahead and to me. All right, so I've been the guy the last 2 drafts that have mentioned these teams should do this. Last year, when the Washington football team had their number 2 pick, I kept telling everybody they should pick Justin Herbert. And everyone's telling me that draft, the generational talent was Chase Young. And I got it. I get it. Man, it's phenomenal. But that team already had a pretty good defensive front. You still had quality picks to continue to add to that if you need it. But that quarterback position is the position that's ailing them. And so I continue to think, Tua was QB3 for me. Herbert was 2. And Joe Burrow came out of nowhere his last year at LSU. So I thought they should have secured it. I think the Jets should do the same thing. You can keep Darnold, go ahead and bring in Wilson, let those 2 compete, and you make sure you get that quarterback position straight. Right. And even if Wilson didn't win that job that first year, you do him just like Mahomes and Kansas City with, what's our guy?
Alex
Smith. Even though in practice everyone saw Mahomes had it, he just wasn't quite ready. And so there's something about using the old way of grooming these quarterbacks instead of just starting them immediately. So that's what my thought was with this pick, is to go ahead and secure a quarterback. He's known as the Mormon Mahomes. So go ahead and get him.
Yeah, and I know Darnold's a former first-round pick. His stock isn't going up. Like, you can keep him until the trade deadline. You're probably going to get the same, maybe second, third-round pick that you get if you kept him all year that you probably get right now. So there's no rush to get rid of him, and I think his contract is only $4 million. So you can let both of them be on the same team because combined their salaries won't even crack $10 million. Now, Mendoza, I saw you unmute. Did you have anything that you wanted to add before we go to the next pick?
No, just that I had seen I think it was on ESPN or somewhere, just a proposed trade of perhaps Darnold to Seattle and then Russell Wilson to the Bears. But I think it was just speculation. People just I'm not sure if that'll happen.
All right, so Dustin Hocken makes a good point. How odd is it that after Wilson's pro day, the same day that trade happens? Something to think about. I didn't think about that. Everything okay? All right. You never know what happens live on the Cowboy. Somebody really liked that Zach Wilson pick, I guess. All right. So, again, I think this is another spot where the draft takes a turn at. I'm curious to see what flavor you guys like in terms of the Niners. I think we all think they're going quarterback. I don't know. I'm going to assume we all think they're going quarterback, but I don't think we're all going to take the same one. So if my guy Lee is still in the comments, I know you're a diehard Niners fan. Let us know which quarterback you think the team should take, if any. Now, let's start this clock back up, and let's see what you guys got.
I hate the 49ers going to pay me to make this pick.
I almost want to put Greg Rousseau in there just to be spiteful.
I want to put Taco Charlton.
Get in a redraft, huh?
Yeah.
All right. So I see we got 3 different quarterbacks up here from 4 different people. Lee, the Niners fan, says Fields. I see Conrad Clay says Zach Wilson. So I assume you think, you think the Jets are going to take Sewell. And Brian says Trey Lance. Queen says Justin Fields. So it looks like everybody's picked. We've been going through this a lot quicker than I thought. I thought you guys would be contemplating a little bit more. I'm sure the further we get through the picks, you guys will be doing a little bit more contemplation. But let's go to it and see who you guys like for the San Francisco 49ers. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So it looks like Mendoza's the lone wolf on this one with Trey Lance. So Mendoza, let us know why you think the Niners go with Lance. Oh, your mic is still muted, Mendoza.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I just felt that Lance fit their system better. I just felt like that. Who's the coach? I can't think of the coach now. Is it Shanahan?
Kyle Shanahan, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I just felt like he sees in Lance someone he can mold into a QB1 for them in the future and stuff like that. Although I do like Fields. I do like Fields. So I could totally still see them taking Fields over Lance. But I just think that Lance is the guy here. Just a hunch.
All right. Lambo, let us know why you chose Fields.
I mean, personally, I think he's the next best quarterback on the board. I think that I feel like they traded up to 3 knowing that Wilson is going second overall. So they felt extremely comfortable doing that before they made that happen. And I think it was for Fields. I think in their mind, they'll probably come out right after the draft, right after they take Fields, and say that they consider him the best quarterback in the draft. And people will be like, oh, okay, wow. We'll see. He's got good size on him. He's accurate. You know, when the play breaks down, he can create. And I think Kyle Shanahan will, build the offense around him. And I think they'll have a lot of fun over there with Shanahan.
Yeah. All right, Jeff, what about you? What are your thoughts on Fields for the Niners?
Well, first of all, I wish Terry Rudd was in the chat because he swear that they're making all their trade to take Pitts at 3. You don't trade what you trade to take a tight end. Although Pitts is a great talent and all, you don't do all that. That move indicated that you're going to take a quarterback.
Right.
I like almost any quarterback with the exception of Jimmy Garoppolo with Kyle Shanahan. I think Fields, as Lambo said, when the play breaks down, he can make a play. He's got pieces around him. He's got a tight end. He's got a pretty good offensive line. He got run after the catch receivers, which is I think will bode well for him. Yeah. I still think that in order for him to be as successful as he need to be, they need a speed deep threat. And I think that would help take Fields' game to another level. I mean, they also could go with Zach Wilson here, but I just think they're going to go with the consensus, what I think could be the second best quarterback in the draft, and that's Fields.
Dom, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I was the one all the way back during the college football season that continued to say that there wasn't really that wide of a gap between Lawrence and Justin Fields. Mm-hmm. And if you really chart back and watch them at the Elite 11 when they were high schoolers, Fields was the better quarterback by far. It wasn't even close. But you saw the tools and the size and all of that came along with Lawrence, and you knew that he could get there. And so the number one quarterback in all the land was Fields that year. But whenever you see Justin Fields and his maturation through his time in college, leaving Georgia, going to Ohio State, I just see a kid that's mentally tough. He has the poise. He has the arm strength you need. He's got athleticism. He's going to fit that system quite well. And like Jeff said, you don't move all the way up and not get a quarterback.
Right.
And so I think the writing is on the wall. Everyone in the league knows what's going to happen at that number 2 pick with quarterback going 2 and it being Wilson. And so I think San Francisco felt comfortable to move up to get that 3rd spot, knowing that the Jets aren't going to bail and then miss out on their guy. So I think San Francisco is sold out on Fields, having the great work ethic that we see him have, being a gutsy player. Dude almost lost a rib and a liver in that college football playoff, and he got back out there and led those troops and did the best that he could do to put them in that final. And so, man, to me, this was kind of the easier one. Honestly, I know a lot of people are boggling and arguing over this number 3 spot, but I really do think it's going to be Justin Fields, and I don't think it's that tough.
Yeah. Now, to Mendoza's point, Lance would definitely be a great fit in this offense as well. He has the arm talent. He has the mobility. But like my guy Lee said, who's a Niners fan, Lance just doesn't have the starts, and he hasn't played the level of competition. I fully expect to see Garoppolo gone within the next 30 days from San Francisco. And I don't know if you want to trust Trey Lance to kind of take over your franchise. Like Dom said, Justin Fields has all the traits you want for a quarterback. And I feel like he has the guts and the intelligence and the intangibles, as well as the mobility and arm strength, to come in and be a day 1 starter for a team that's already talented. I don't think the learning curve will be as big for him as it will be for Lance.
Yeah, and I think what you're going to see is that's going to be a draft night trade with Garoppolo. You're going to see San Francisco get Fields first, secure him, and then those QB needy teams that weren't able to move up and get Trey Lance or Mac Jones. That's whenever they're going to start to try to get him, and you'll probably see Garoppolo move for a 2nd round pick and maybe some change, but kind of the same way that Arizona did Rosen, who went for a 2nd rounder. So watch out for that.
Yeah, exactly. I know everybody has the Patriots pretty high on their list just because of the familiarity and how much Belichick loves them, and Cam's contract doesn't prevent them from doing that either.
Nope.
And
here's the funny thing. Here's the funny thing. That would be the spot to look at, and then Cam will still beat him out.
Think so?
Yeah.
I agree with Dom. Jimmy Garoppolo's garbage. Sorry, Lee and Rudd, if y'all in the chat, but he's garbage.
I agree with you, but Belichick loves them, and that's really all that matters. All right, so let's go back to the board. And now we're going to pick number 4, which is the Atlanta Falcons. Another interesting spot to me because they could go quarterback. They could surprise some people and take a defensive guy, because I talked about this stat before. Last year, 10 of their 11 starters on offense were 1st-round picks. That's ridiculous. And if they would have kept the kid from Ole Miss who came from Minnesota, they would have been the first team ever. All 11 starters on one side of the ball were 1st-round picks. So they have talent on offense. Do they reach for a defensive player? Do they take a quarterback? We're about to find out what these guys think in the next 2 minutes. So let me pull this up and start the clock. All right, guys. Let me know what you think the Falcons are going to do. This one's going to be interesting.
Yeah, this was interesting because I got a pick and a possible.
I'm doing a coin flip on this one.
I actually need to do a coin flip as well.
I really don't know where I want to go, but
we'll go with my gut.
I don't want to give it up, but I think it's going to be an offensive player.
Oh man!
Hey, you never know.
That really tells us everything. We know they're going offense.
They could go defense. They could see a guy like a Greg Rousseau and think he's the pass rusher of the future, or a Kwity Paye who fits the same measurables as Tack McKinley and Vic Beasley, who they both took very high. You never know. They could be a surprise team.
Let's say I hope they do that, because then it makes our 10th pick better.
So, guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Who you think the Falcons are taking at 4? So, I see we got a lot of Sewell. I guess these were the people that thought the Jets went quarterback like us. Conrad says Fields falls to 4. Brian says Slater. Charles Moffitt. If you guys get a chance, go check out their new podcast. Him and his co-host are really doing some good things. I'm looking forward to seeing what they have to come in the future. Lee says, I think they'll trade back. We're gonna assume no trades at this point. And Marlo says, I thought Mendoza said Wilson. No, he didn't. Zach White says Pitts. All right, Mendoza, have you made your pick yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I made my pick.
All right. I didn't know. I forgot who picked what before. All right, so let's take it back to the other screen and let's see what everybody chose. I think this one's gonna be real interesting.
Oh, this one's gonna break my heart.
I know where you're going, Limbo. I knew it.
All right. I gotta switch it up. I can't keep agreeing with Dom every time. So I meant to look at his and then change mine. But Jeff, well, you and Mendoza both have quarterbacks. Let us know why you think the Falcons go quarterback right here.
I think they're gonna go quarterback because they've always had some questions around Matt Ryan. Now he's a good quarterback. He got decent weapons around him. And Matt Ryan is gonna win you. He can win you 8, maybe 10 games, but Matt Ryan just hadn't won the big game, and he's been there quite a while. So I think now they're gonna want to try to.
Jeff.
He did, but 28-3. Never mind. We're not going to go there. I think it's time for them to start thinking about the future. You know, you got your young receiver in Ridley, which is the future. For the time being, you still have Julio there. You know, I just think it's time for them to start looking for a different face of the franchise and somebody that they can eventually hand those reins over from Matt Ryan from Matt Ryan too. And then, I mean, they will have their quarterback, 4 or 5 years. He can learn under Matt Ryan for the first 2 years or so and then unleash him when it's time. But with that, it could have went another way. I see the Pitts pick. I do. I also see an offensive tackle, but I just think when you're picking this high, you got to go with the face of the franchise.
Okay. Mendoza, let us know why you went quarterback.
Basically the same reason that Jeff went with his quarterback, you know, and to piggyback off what Dom said earlier about, you know, letting a quarterback sit and, you know, groom a quarterback for a year. I feel Fields being a hometown guy. I believe he's from Georgia. I don't know if he's actually from Atlanta, but I know he's from Georgia.
Right.
So, you know, just going back home, being the face of the franchise for the home state team, I just felt like that was just a perfect fit for him.
Okay. I mean, I can't say I disagree with it. Since Lambo has the frowny face, let us know why you chose Pitts, because I see all three of us have Pitts at the top.
For one, I like him so much that I know naturally he won't be there because I like him. So maybe that's a blessing in disguise. Sometimes it's real easy to hype these guys up and get really excited about them, especially when they're putting out measurables like this guy. And this the freak athlete he is, 6'6", 245, 4.4 speed, biggest wingspan of any wide receiver or tight end in the last 20 years. You know, all the things we've talked about with the guy. He's just a freak athlete. It's not often you see a tight end projected to go in the top 5. That tells you how special the guy is. I mean, he was number 1 in red zone. He was the number 1 rated red zone pass catcher in all of college last year. I mean, that's including wide receivers as well. So very special talent. I think that the Falcons will be looking possibly at a tackle here. And I don't know. I think the thought of being able to line him up with Calvin and Julio and Matt and give that thing a run will sound intriguing to them, and the mismatches they can create. And you can line this guy up out wide. You can put him all over the place. Am I worried about blocking? No, not at all.
Yeah.
And I don't think they will be either. You don't pick a tight end in the top 10 because of his blocking skills. He'll do what he needs to do, and I think it'll be the pick.
Yeah. All right. So I know Dom's probably gonna say everything I was thinking, but Dom, let me know why you think they go Kyle Pitts.
April Fools. No,
Okay.
no. Actually, I think Penei Sewell would be the wise choice for them because he could help be an impact player immediately, but also be that future player that we were talking about earlier. But I look at it from a different perspective. I look at Matt Ryan being a quarterback of the team. He's going to have 2 more solid years there, just contractually. That's going to make it be the case because not even in 2021, but in 2022, in order to let him go, that's a $40 million dead hit. That ain't going to happen. And so I don't think they're going to waste the next 2 years of that type of a contract having Julio as well. So I think they're going to try to run it this year, and they know that the way of the league is going to be offensive firepower. So you bring in a Kyle Pitts to have you a mini Megatron, Calvin Johnson like, along with Julio in his waning years, with Calvin Ridley going across the middle. Run that thing. Their biggest needs really are edge. It seemed like every single year Atlanta needs an edge rusher.
They do.
Seems like then they need help in the secondary. That's the second need. Then they need a running back. Seems like they're always retreads with running backs. So defense just isn't it right now at 4. And then they're so high enough in the second round, they can find like an Eichenberg. Or maybe if a Jenkins is there near the end of the first, maybe they can trade up to go get him and secure a great tackle. So go get that generational player in Pitts and see what's going to happen.
Yeah. Now, to kind of add on what you said, I was going back and forth between Pitts and Chase. But then, like you talked about with Ryan, I look at Julio's contract and his dead money is probably at 30, 40 million as well, which is ridiculous for a 31-year-old wide receiver. And he's been missing quite a few games the past few years. So I was thinking, you know what? Maybe they go receiver. But then, like you said, I look at the weapon, the offensive weapon of Kyle Pitts. If Julio goes down, Pitts can help supplement everything that Julio did. And on top of that, the Falcons' number one issue offensively has been touchdowns. I don't think Julio's ever gotten more than 7 touchdowns in a year for his career. I think Pitts can come in and do that year one on a team like that. I know some people think they traded for Hayden Hurst last year, so the tight end position is set. But a guy like Pitts just helps supplement what they can do on that offense. And maybe they could put him out wide and put Ridley back inside where he's really dangerous at. They have a lot of stuff they can do. And I almost thought about going Sewell right here, but I look at Jake Matthews and Caleb McGarry, and I think those are still 2 young, solid tackles. Sewell can help somewhere along the line, but like I said before, all 5 of their offensive linemen are former first rounders, and I think the oldest one is 28. So I think they can kind of get by with the offensive line for a few more years, but they need help with touchdowns.
I'd also like to note that the Falcons have actually Zoomed with Kyle Pitts twice before the pro day. Then they met with him at the pro day, and then they have another Zoom planned. That's 4 meetings. There'll be 4, at least 4 meetings with him leading up to the draft.
Right. Here's the interesting thing. Calvin Ridley's been in the league for 3 years and almost has half of the touchdowns that Julio has, who's been in the league for 10 years.
10 years, right.
And I don't know what it is, why they get in that red zone area and do not go towards him. I don't understand it. And so you put Pitts over there. It might take some pressure off of Julio, who can probably have his high mark year. Yeah. And they keep running that thing back even going into 2022. So like you said, yeah, Julio, if they were to drop him now, that's $40 million hit. Next year, if they did it in 2022, that's 17, almost 18 million. I think they're stuck with Matt Ryan and Julio for 2 more years.
Exactly.
So you maximize that time right now without breaking the bank because you're using draft picks to add to that offense.
And Charles, you just hit around the head exactly what Dom said. 40 mil this year, 17 and a half next year. And I know you guys said quarterback at the bottom. Matt Ryan hasn't played bad, so I don't see them moving away from him. He's only 35, I believe.
36.
Quarterbacks have about 30, 38, 39 before you really have to be concerned. His stats haven't fallen off at all in the past 4 or 5 years. He's been a 4,500-yard guy, 30 touchdowns, less than 15 interceptions. That's about as good as you can ask for. You add a guy like Pitts, you may extend Ryan's career another year on top of it.
Yeah.
Now, my guy Lee in the comments made an interesting point talking about Surtain, about they are weak in the secondary. It's something to consider. And again, I just talked about that before. Their problems are not really offensively. They need defensive weapons. I don't see it happening, but if it did, I could justify it in my mind.
And they didn't spend in free agency
at all. You're right.
They didn't do anything. They cut more players than anything. So, and let their guys that they had go. I mean, we've experienced a couple of them. So, yeah, man, they're waiting for this draft.
All right, guys. So let's go ahead to pick number 5. I think there'll be a consensus on this one, but we'll see. So let's start the clock up, and let's see what the Cincinnati Bengals are going to do. I wish my guy Claude was in there to give us.
Hey,
I'm gonna shake the boat on this one.
Marcus.
All right. Yeah.
Do we still got the pick is in music?
I would have to pull it up. I tried to do it before, but it didn't really work.
I want to let y'all know that my gut is really telling me what this pick is going to be, but I got to play devil's advocate.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Pick who you think. I can't do it. I was about to open something up. Let me test this out real quick. Hey guys, let me know if you can hear this. It's not that loud, is it?
I don't hear anything. I heard a dog barking.
Okay.
Didn't hear anything.
No. Okay.
By the way, Dom, thank you for making this pick for me, because the point that you made just made me go ahead and make this pick. The point you made earlier.
Okay.
All right. I think we got everybody made their picks. I'll try to have the music up for the last 5 picks. You give me a minute. So let's go back to the screen, and guys, let me know in the comments who you think are going to take. Okay, I see we got Chase.
So I know where Jeff's going.
Waddle. Chase.
We'll see, Dom.
Burrow and Chase. And Queen says Chase. So, Jeff, you thought you were going to be in a minority, but I think you're going to be – I think looking at that, you're only in the minority on this screen.
So what you trying to say? Are you giving my pick away?
No, I'm not giving you a pick away. We'll let the people see it. All right. So
way to go, Limbo.
We got Lambo and Jeff with Chase. Got the I can't believe me and Dom. I can't believe Dom took Sewell over Slater. That's surprising. This guy,
Oh,
the traitor that is Dominique White.
Y'all done swap.
Again, well, I'll do explanations in a minute. Lambo, let us know why you think Chase.
Oh, man. Just all right. So in my head, I tried to think, okay, what if they could go O-line here, and then I was trying to picture what wide receivers will be around there, top of the second, and then I kind of reversed it, and I was like, or you could go Jamar Chase here. What O-lineman might be there, around the top of the second, Eichenberg, Leatherwood, so on and so forth. I just felt like it would be a bigger impact to their team to add a piece like Jamar Chase to that offense, and then come back around in the top of the second or trade back into the first to shore up that offensive line then. just because of how special of a talent he is. We all know about him. I mean, ain't nothing I could say that's gonna probably change it how anybody feels about him. Just a very special talent, and you pair him up with my guy from East Tennessee, T. Higgins, and Joe Burrow's got he's gonna have some fun out there, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's too good of a talent to pass up there. Go ahead and take him, and shore up that O line in the second.
All right, Jeff, do you agree with what Lambo says, or do you have something you want to add to it?
100% with what Lambo said. You can't pass up a talent like Jamar Chase right there, and the fact that he played with Burrow in college. You do want to protect the face of your franchise right here. I will say that, but also what Lambo said and what Dom said earlier, you got some tackles, and being that they're going to be picking right now at the top of the second, you got some tackles you can swing back around and get, like I said, whether it's Eichenberg or a Leatherwood or something like that. And so I think, you make that pick and you get the best of both worlds, and you go out there and let Burrow sling it and have fun.
All right, so Mr. Dominique, that's been going back and forth with me for 6 months. Tell me why you picked Sewell over Slater.
All right, so I got to start first by you take a look at what Cincinnati has done here in the offseason. They have spent quite a bit of money on the defensive side. They've been one of the most active teams in all of football. Everyone is looking at the Patriots, but Cincinnati did some interesting things. And so they've tried to secure their defensive backfield. They went and got one of Dallas's free agents, Chidobe Awuzie, and they signed Mike Hilton. And they also went and got the Saints defensive end, Trey Hendrickson, who had a pretty big year in his final year. And then Mendoza's boy, Larry Ogunjobi, signed a 1-year contract there. They've done a number of things to try to help themselves out on the defensive side of the ball so they can use their premium picks on offense. And so when I look at this, I really do think Chase may be the pick because of my own point, which Jeff brought up, of that top pick in the second round. But when I look at what happened to Joe Burrow, hit 72 times in 9 weeks, the most hit quarterback in the history of football. Yeah. Then he has the injury that he has. You got to protect your guy. And there's a significant drop-off between Rashawn Slater, Penei Sewell, and then tackle 3. And then definitely a huge drop-off between even that second tier of tackles with the third tier. So I think for me, you go ahead and you get a player like Penei Sewell who can interchange on the inside, who can play on the outside. They just got Riley Reef, so to help them already on the end. So if you secure your quarterback and you do what you can do, I don't think there's a significant drop-off between the first tier of receivers and that second tier of receivers. We just have to be talking about Chase and Marshall not being too far off from one another. You think about a guy like Rondell Moore, who's maybe a third tier. Is he really that far different from Chase? They kind of got the same kind of body, that barrel chest and a stocky build, and Moore maybe even more explosive. So I just think for them, you do your best to help out Burrow. Get Sewell or Slater.
All right. Mendoza, you want me to take this one or you want to take it?
You can take it.
All right. I agree with everything Dom says, first of all. When I look at the Bengals, like you said, Burrow's been getting butchered his first year. Got put out that season. They made a lot of additions to the defense. The offensive side of the ball, they're leaving room for the draft. Kind of like what you guys talked about. The receivers are pretty deep in this draft. I feel like if they want to trade back up into the first or just take a kid at 36, there's going to be a good kid they can partner with T. Higgins and form a great offense. When I look at this offensive line, they just signed Riley Reef, so he's going to plug in as your right tackle. They still have Jonah Williams, who they drafted in 2019. He was injured his first year. Last year, he had a very solid year. I would say he was probably their best tackle, so I like him a lot. They got Michael Johnson from Ohio State, the combine warrior, who they put in at guard. I love him at the left guard spot. And then I look at this team and I see Xavier Su'a-Filo at right guard. And I'm like, we got to upgrade that spot. And I just feel like a guy like Rashawn Slater comes in and that provides you with a drastic upgrade to that right guard spot, especially for a guy like Joe Burrow and the way he likes to play. I can see Sewell there as well. I just think if you're talking guard, because I've been saying this since September, Slater is far and away the best guard in the draft. So if you want to get a guard to fill his gap, Rashawn Slater is your guy to put in that spot. If Riley Reef decides to move on in a year or two, you could probably slide Slater to right tackle. But if I need a guard day one that's going to give me 3 or 4 years of production, Rashawn Slater, plug and play Pro Bowler. Mendoza, you want to add on to that anything?
No, you pretty much got it all.
I'm just shocked that the one spot me and Dominique disagree on involves Rashawn Slater. that was just so.
You know, Slater is my offensive tackle.
I know he is.
My personal. I just think the draft world really has Sewell. So
yeah. I mean, either way, you couldn't go wrong. I just think Slater, in terms of a guard, is just so much better than everybody else. All right, so let's go back to the board. I'm still trying to work on this music, Lambo. So hopefully I can get it. So we go to pick number. Where we at? Pick number 6 now.
I think we're with Dolphins.
And that would be the Miami Dolphins again. I didn't get a chance to change this. So pick 6 is the Miami Dolphins. They traded up from they traded back from 3 to 12, and then they went back up from 12 to 6. So did they do that to take a quarterback right here? Or did they do it for something else? We're gonna find out what these guys think in 2 minutes. Before you put your pick in, let me take the names down.
Yeah.
Now, right here, I think we're gonna have a bunch of differences.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be a different one here. I know where I'm going though.
So we got a couple of people. Berger says Slater. I think they've drafted 2 offensive tackles in the past 2 years. So that's the only reason I would say maybe not Slater unless they want to put him at guard, which I would have no problem with. Then we got the next 3 people saying pitch train, pitch train, pitch train. I mean, they do have
I'm feeling a lone wolf.
They got Mike
Gesicki. Yeah, very talented tight end. But again, Pitts is a weapon, so you can put him anywhere, and he instantly makes your offense better. So if you guys haven't taken Pitts already, I wouldn't be shocked if he was the guy right here. Brian says he thinks this is Waddle time, so he thinks Waddle goes above Devontae Smith.
My guy.
Hey Brian, let me know. Have you put a spot for Jamar Chase yet? I don't want to go through all the stuff to see. Let me know if you think Waddle goes over Chase and Smith, because I'd be really interested on that one. All right, it looks like we got everybody's pick.
Just don't see the hype with Waddle.
So let's go back.
I just don't see the Waddle.
I thought I was going to be the lone wolf until Brian came in.
All right. So we got Smith, Waddle. So we all took receivers, which was surprising to me. And we took 3 different receivers. So Lambeau being the lone wolf, let us know why you chose Jaylen Waddle. Oh, before you answer that, how many receivers have you chosen already? Is this your first one?
This is my second.
Second, okay. So you have Waddle over Smith.
I do.
Okay.
I just think he's I don't know. I consider him a better athlete. I think he can also help them in the punt return game, where we seen back in 2019, he averaged 24.7 yards per return on punt. So he's also going to help them out on special teams as well. And the guy is a beast in the slot. I know he dealt with the injury this year, but if you go back to 2019, 158.3 passer rating when targeted from the slot. I just feel like he's a special playmaker. He kind of is like a more of a upgraded version of Kadarius Toney to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of how I see him. I just like Waddle, man. I think he could bring more to the offense, and Tua gets one of his guys back, just like Burrow got one of his guys back, and I think Waddle will go ahead of Smith in this draft. I really do.
Okay. All right. So, Mendoza, since you let me take the Slater talk, start us off with Devonta Smith. Let us know why you took him over Waddle. And have you chosen Chase before, Mendoza?
No, Smith was my first receiver.
Oh, Smith is your first receiver. So, okay.
Yeah.
Let us know why Smith is your number one guy.
Well, I just feel, well, in terms of for Miami, Smith being Tua's former guy, I feel like he's probably gonna pound the table for his guy, and I just felt like he was a more, dynamic. He brings more to the table, and is more of a as somebody used the word, dynamic player than I guess Chase. I don't want to downplay Chase because Chase is good in his own right. I just feel like they're two different types of wide receivers, and I feel like they like what Smith brings to the table, and that's what they think will be good in their offensive scheme.
Yeah. All right, Jeff, you got anything to add to that one?
Yeah, I think much like kind of what Lambo, I think it was actually Mendoza said, Tua gets one of his guys. As you look in free agency, they picked up a Will Fuller, which could easily step in and be a number one receiver. And they still got Devontae Parker, which is a pretty good receiver, except his injury history.
They may still have Preston Williams too, if I'm not mistaken.
Actually, I was just looking at the depth chart. They do. They still got Preston Williams. I just think that you put in a talent like Smith, somebody that Tua was familiar with, and this is an offensive league. So what you want to do, you put some stock into Tua. So you want to put some more weapons around him and see, what he got over these next few years. And so what better way to do it than to give him one of his guys that he's familiar with.
Before Dom goes, I want to go to a couple of the comments. Queen, I agree. Great point. Brian Flores was in New England, so they love the two tight end spots. If Pitts was still available in my mock draft, I probably would have taken him here as well. Dustin Hockett says Waddle just is so smooth. He doesn't move like anyone else. Brian asked, did Waddle play with Tua also?
Mm-hmm.
He did.
He was on the team. I don't know how active he was at that point in his career, because you got to remember, Bama had two guys that were first rounders also there with Tua. So he may have been fifth on the depth chart at that point.
Right.
Charles Moffitt, I like Waddle over Smith. Just the size concerns him. Dylan Larson, Chase is the true number one target. And Hockett comes back. Fuller and Parker, both speedy receivers. I agree with Waddle or Chase if they were there. So, Dom, I'll let you answer. Why do you take Chase over Smith and Waddle like me?
You know what? I was one of the early lovers of Devontae Smith. He was my wide receiver in the one for quite some time. But, man, the more I dig into the history of receivers, that size is a major concern. And the fact that he's had a couple of pro days, because Alabama had two, and even at the Reese's Senior Bowl, he didn't really want to really do the workouts and everything like everyone else. Mm-hmm. And you hear that they're stating that he's 170, which, just like we say, everybody says they're faster. I'm going to say he's even slighter than that. Mm-hmm. And that just doesn't work in the NFL. Not to say that he isn't worth the first round pick and that he can't be the first, but the size does concern me. Same reason for Jaylen Waddle not being wide receiver one, that injury, that's concerning to me. And so I had to knock him down a little bit. And Chase is the number one receiver if you're not considering Pitts a receiver. So you can kind of argue those two, but go ahead and put Chase, give to another weapon, and see what you got in that quarterback, because he's a future that you're going to have to really have to consider over the next couple of years. Is he worth keeping, or are you going to have to look elsewhere? So give him the weapon.
I agree. To add on to what you said, the reason I'm not high on Smith and Waddle, I've heard that song before. Skinny, super fast guys, smooth route runners. I've seen that second, third, fourth, fifth rounds every year. These guys are better in terms of hands and route running, but I've seen the skinny, fast receiver up and down every draft. They don't give me anything I couldn't get from Jaylen Darden, your guy Jeff, or my guy to Ole Miss that you could probably get in the third or fourth round.
Yeah.
I just couldn't take them. And then I look at what Miami has. I see a bunch of number 2 receivers. Devontae Parker's a number 2. Preston Williams. Will Fuller. Great receiver. He's always been a number 2. They need a number 1 there. And I think Chase, of the 3 receivers, is the only number 1 X receiver that you can put on the line. He can beat press, and he can make plays.
For the record, I would definitely take Chase as well if he was on my board still.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I was on that one. I got to think about if I'm picking a guy at pick 6, I need him to be the X on the line of scrimmage that can beat press if he needs to and make a play. I just don't see that from the other guys. They would be great number 2s if you need a Z, but I just don't see them X's. All right, guys. So let's go to the next pick. I believe we're at pick 7 with the Detroit Lions. They have a lot of needs. They just lost both of their starting receivers, so maybe they need a receiver. They just changed their coaching staffs. I don't know if they're transitioning from a 3-4 to a 4-3. So they may need some defensive help at linebacker or defensive tackle or defensive end. It's a lot of places you can go with the Detroit Lions. So in 2 minutes, we'll find out where these guys think the Lions are going to go. And guys, once again, get in the comments and let me know what you think the Detroit Lions do at pick 7.
I'm still contemplating.
Well, mine is a slam dunk. No question. All right. Dustin Hockett says they get the last of the receivers. And
that's my thought, but I'm trying to throw a curveball.
Yeah. They changed DCs, they changed coaches.
Yeah.
They got the new quarterback in Jared Goff. They need some weapons for him.
Do you call it a quarterback?
Well, he's on the team.
There you go.
Well, do they go quarterback? That's a question. Jared Goff may only be a 1-year guy, and then they make a change. So do they take a quarterback, let Jared Goff get groomed? They didn't give up much for him. Avoid that huge cap hit in 2022 and have their quarterback of the future on the roster. A lot of different ways we can go here. All right, I see everybody's made their choice.
Good want to tell me defense.
For the first time, everybody's pick is different.
Okay.
That's interesting. For the first time. All right, so let's go back to the board and let's see what everybody chose. Five different picks. All right, so let me go through the comments real quick before we let everybody do their discussions.
I almost went Dom and I almost went Mendoza. Almost.
So Hawkins says they get Smith. Jeff, we're going to start with you. Eric Berger says PS2, so he agrees with Dom. Brian also agrees with him, Sertan. Conrad says Waddle or Smith, so he thinks they go offensive weapon. Moffitt says Parsons.
Come on now.
Lee also says Parsons. And then Dustin Hockett asked the question, do you have to read defense to be a quarterback? According to Jared Goff's high draft spot and the big contract that he got, I would say the answer is probably no if we use Jared Goff as the example. So, Jeff, we start with you. Jaylen Waddle, let us know why.
Let me first say I could also went with Dom and Mendoza. I actually changed my pick a couple of times.
Okay.
But you're right. They did lose their receivers. They, for some odd reason, wanted Jared Goff. I have no idea why. And so you got to give him some type of weapon to throw the ball to. They already got DeAndre Swift there. And I will say this, one of Goff's strong points is being able to throw out play action. And so if you got Swift there, you got a running back that hopefully you can get the running game going. And so with that play action, hopefully he can get the ball to Waddle, and that at least give him one weapon. So that's kind of where I went with it.
All right. Mendoza, shoring up the front seven. Let us know why you got them taking Micah Parsons.
I went with Micah Parsons here. I just feel like with the new regime there in Detroit that they want to rebuild the defense and give it an identity, and I feel like they were going to use Parsons to do that, or would use Parsons to do that, to be the new quarterback of the defense and lead them into the new scheme that they're going to run.
Okay. I mean, they are transitioning, so they do need a linebacker. The DC, I believe, is Aaron Glenn.
Yeah, I liked Aaron Glenn too. He was, I believe, he was somebody's secondary coach this past year, I believe. I can't remember.
Was it Green Bay or New Orleans? It was one of the two.
I think it was New Orleans. Yeah, I think
Okay.
it was New Orleans. He was somebody I wanted to bring in to be a secondary coach here. But yeah, no, that's actually a good hire I like for them, and I think that could be a good match for the two.
Yeah. Dustin Hawkins says whoever the best check down receiver is in the draft, that's who they pick. Can't say I disagree with that, considering golf. All right. Dom, you got Patrick Surtain. Did Aaron Glenn and his secondary background have any say in why you made that pick?
No, to me, you made the comment earlier that the draft started, I think at number 2. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't remember. But to me, this is where the draft starts. I think 1 through 6, it's kind of easy to try to figure out what these guys are going to do, at least what side of the ball and then what position.
Right.
But for here, they have so many needs across the board, and they've done a lot of cutting guys in the offseason. They lost their number 2 and number 3 cornerbacks in Trufant and who's the other one? What was his name? Coleman, Justin Coleman. So they let both of them go, but then they went out and got Alex Anzalone from the Saints, who was a linebacker. They kept Jalen Mabin Reeves as a linebacker.
They kept
they've done a lot of work.
Too, right?
Yeah, they got a cord. So they've done some things to try to help out a little bit here and there. So I just continue to think, go ahead and solidify a premium position, a position that you really need. Their offensive line isn't terrible, but it's not one of the best. I think they can also try to think later and shore up an interior offensive lineman. I think those guys are going to fly off the board a little bit later. I almost went my boy Slater here, but instead I went with cornerback. I think they're going to try to shore up the toughness of that defense first and then do something later.
Can't say I disagree with you on that one. So you think they go back-to-back cornerbacks with him and Okudah?
Yep.
Hey.
They have to be a little patient with Okudah.
Yeah.
And you can't let what you did before hold you back from doing something new or doing the same thing. So I went PS2 on this one.
That was my only concern because I saw what Okudah went through last year, and I was thinking, that's a lot of growing pains when you have a rookie last year that struggled, and then you bring in another rookie, and that's who you're relying on. I almost went with you this time, Don, but that was the only thing that stopped me. All right, Lambo, let us know why you took Smith.
I feel like, honestly, by the time the draft gets here, my mind's going to change on this because I don't know what it is. I can't get this gut feeling out of me that Smith is going to slide out of the top 10 and into those somewhere near around where Giants are picking. But for now, I think I was leaning towards receiver with the loss of Galladay. I think it is something I personally have the concerns with him, like Dom said, with how thin he is, and I think he's probably more like 165. But for this, I'm gonna go with receiver with the loss of Galladay. Give him a playmaker. Giving him his new Robert Woods, I guess. And but yeah, I almost put Surtain down, and I almost put Parsons down as well, and backtracked. So I'm gonna go receiver here.
Okay. The reason I took Sewell, I just feel like it was just a blinking light, best player available at this spot. You always use offensive line. The Lions have been notoriously bad at running the ball. I can't remember the last time they had a 1,100 yard running back. So I think offensive line is always an option. And they have, I believe, Taylor Decker at left tackle right now. I feel like you can plug Sewell in at left, you move Decker to right, and you instantly upgrade 2 positions. You got a new coaching staff. Anthony Lynn is the new OC. And despite what he showed with LA, he's a heavy run game guy in terms of offensive coordinators. So I could see him wanting to shore up the offensive line because, like Jeff said, they got some decent running backs there. They signed Tyrell Williams, and I believe I can't remember the other guy they just signed, but they signed a big receiver. They got Williams. They still got the tight end from a couple years back. Like I said before, I almost went Surtain, but the 2 rookies kind of scared me. And Parsons was a thought, but I feel like with this team and looking at the coaches and Dan Campbell as the head coach, he's a smash mouth guy too. So I just think that combination wins out in the in the draft room. Let's get the big offensive lineman and let's go smash mouth. Kind of like what Dan Campbell did with Miami.
Yeah, this is the pick that I've made so far that I'm like, yeah, if I were them, I wouldn't make this pick. It's probably my least favorite pick, though I like the player.
Yeah.
If I were to redo this, I would go ahead and do my boy Slater.
Yeah. I could see Slater right here too. Yeah.
This is also the potential spot where I think we would have a trade up.
I was thinking so.
This is where Trey Lance starts to come into play for either Denver or Carolina, who are going to try to jockey for him. I also think Atlanta at 4 would be a good spot. I don't know if they trade with Carolina, but maybe Denver try to jump up in that spot, but we'll see.
Because you look at Carolina, like you said, people can kind of see the quarterback right there, and with Denver at 8 and 9. So this would be the leapfrog spot. You're right about that. All right, guys, we're at 2 hours. Let's keep those likes coming up. Let's keep sharing. Let's keep those comments coming in. We got 3 more picks, 2 more before we get to Dallas, and we really want to hear you guys input on that. So let's go back to the clock, and let's see who we have at pick 8 for the Carolina Panthers. Again, the Panthers are another one of those teams. You really don't know where they go. They have Teddy Bridgewater, but they still go quarterback. They could also go defense because their defense wasn't that good. For some of you guys that have an offensive lineman left, this could be a O-lineman spot. If anybody has Pitts left, you could definitely go Pitts right here. It's a lot of spots you can go for the Carolina Panthers. So let's get the clock going. 2 minutes on the clock. And guys, make your picks. Let's mute those mics.
Matt Jones.
I see a lot of.
Let's go.
I'm not taking the bait on that one yet. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I hate to get my pick up like that, but we'll see. All right. I don't know if Jeff made his pick or not yet, so we'll wait a few more minutes for him to come back.
Since I'll try to. This is an interesting one for me too. Well, after them, but Matt Rule. If you follow Matt Rule, he's all about toughness.
Yep.
He's about chewing glass and eating nails, that type. And last year having an all defensive draft. It's just all about no pun intended. Bridgewater, is he still a bridge guy, quarterback? I mean, what are they really going to do here?
That's a good point. Hey, Jeff, did you make your pick?
I did.
Okay. All right. Just making sure. All right.
Yeah.
So let's go back and let's see what everybody chose. All right. So I see across the board we got the same thing. Two guys at the bottom got something different. Let me go to the comments real quick before we go. I see we got Trey Lance, Mac Jones, Trey Lance. I see a lot of people agree with us. Zach Wilson and Mac Jones. So I see a pretty big consensus in terms of quarterbacks. So let's start with you, Mendoza. Let us know why you picked Surtain right here.
I went with Surtain because, well, the Panthers need corners. Well, when I recently looked at their corners, that room, I don't know how they got by with that room. I think their two main corners are Corn Elder and Troy Pride Jr. from last year, and I can't think of anybody else. Yeah, so I just feel like they need cornerback, and I just felt like Surtain was the guy they would go with here. Felt like he would help them a lot.
I didn't know their corner room was that bad.
Yeah, the corner room is pretty bad. I didn't know it was that bad until I recently looked at it because I was curious about the whole Mac Jones thing. Because I thought they would go Mac Jones maybe here. Maybe that might be a little bit too early. Maybe they would slide back. But when I looked at their cornerback room out, did not like that. So that's why I'm choosing Surtain here.
Listening to that, I almost want to change my pick because I know Corn Elder just left. So now I'm wondering who's the number 2 corner.
Yeah, just Troy Pride then, I guess.
Yeah. All right, so Jeff, let us know. Well, I know why you took Kyle Pitts, obviously, but let us know why you like him for the Panthers.
Well, Mendoza's right. The cornerback room is horrible, and this definitely could be a defensive pick. But I don't think that they're going to go quarterback. I think that Teddy Bridgewater put up some pretty decent stats and played okay, enough for them to win games. Now, I'm not saying he's the quarterback of the future, but at this point in the draft, I don't know if I see quarterbacks of the future. And so with that, you go ahead and you build upon a strong point of your team, which is the offense. You get a Christian McCaffrey coming back this year. Looking at their depth chart, their tight end room looks horrible as well. I think the number 1 tight end is Dan Arnold. They came from Arizona, which I think he scored off all just busted plays last year. But I think if you add a Pitts in with a DJ Boy, you still have a Robbie Anderson there, and a slick signing that they made was a David Moore from Seattle. And I think you add that offensive weapon and you make your offense even stronger by putting a Pitts there.
And Dustin Hockey made a good point. Their owner's jockeying for a quarterback, of course. Lampo, we'll let you start on this one since we all got Trey Lance. Let us know why you think they go Lance.
Just the potential, man. Bridgewater, I think they know is not their guy. He's not the future. And although I don't think Trey Lance is what pick are we on? 7, 8, 7, 8. I don't think he's the 8th, obviously the 8th best player in this draft by far. But as you know, quarterbacks, you have to reach when you're going for a franchise quarterback, and that's what's going to happen here. They can't wait on it.
How did they work out for Chicago?
Maybe I think he's a huge boomer bust guy. He's got great size, but for all we know, you could be the next Patrick. I'm saying we've seen a few quarterbacks go against him or go hit him, and his natural talent, obviously sitting behind Smith, took off. One thing that concerns me against the blitz, he in his career over there in North Dakota State, he was 12th among every quarter as far as ranking amongst all quarterbacks in this draft. He was 12th against the blitz. So he wasn't very good against the blitz at all, and it ain't going to get easier at the NFL level.
Right.
So he's a work. He'll take a few years, but
they got Bridgewater there to help bridge that gap.
The potential's huge. I think they'll take that chance.
All right, Dom, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah. So everything I said about the potential with anybody that would come in with Matt Ryan, if they would have picked somebody to be his backup, or with the guy over in New York Jets and Wilson.
Yeah.
If you have that combo, to me, this is the perfect spot for Trey Lance. You know he's going to need the ability to catch up to the NFL speed. He was a one-read type guy, and then he's off to the races. So I think this would be the time for them to go ahead and roll it out with Teddy for another year. You start to look at his contract. He's cuttable after this upcoming year. But if you still needed that second year to grow Lance a little bit more, Teddy is there and he's cheap.
Yeah.
So you'll have two quarterbacks and you'll have that fifth-year option. So you'll still have a young guy with 3 years left getting his first opportunity to start. So I think you have some patience. They've already invested quite a bit in Matt Rule and put a lot of faith in him and given him a kind of contract where they know it's going to be 2 to 3 years to really be competitive. And so I think this would be the perfect time. Picking a first rounder nowadays as a quarterback doesn't hamper a franchise if a guy just isn't it like it used to be because of the type of contracts that they structure under these rookie deals. But to me, you get your quarterback and then you let Rule use those other picks to try to shore up some other areas.
Right. And the only thing I'll add to what you said is you talk about Matt Rule. You also have to talk about the OC Joe Brady, college guy. You always want to get your guy when you're an OC or a head coach on a new team. So I can see this being this is the guy we're hitching our wagon to see if we stay here for the next 5 to 10 years. They didn't get that chance last year because it was so heavily defense. This is the first time that there's an actual quarterback with a lot of potential that's available to them. But back to Mendoza's initial point, listen to that cornerback room. I'm still very tempted to change to Surtain, but I'm just assuming that they're going to take the next 3 picks and take corners and just make the rest of this draft defense because that's a god-awful. All right, so we're 1 pick before Dallas. A lot of the guys that we've been lobbying for are pretty much off the board right now. So I'm interested to see where some of these guys go when it gets to Dallas's pick. Again, everybody keep bringing the comments in. Make sure you make sure you let us know what you think about the pick so far, and let us know what you think the Denver Broncos are going to do at pick 9. So we talk about the Denver Broncos. They could go a bunch of different directions. They kind of re-signed their secondary. They re-signed some new guys. They lost a bunch of defensive line players. Offensive line is always an issue with them. They could use a guy. I think the receivers are good. But we don't know how they feel about their quarterback. I think some of us may have a quarterback or 2 left, so we may go there. So let's see what the Denver Broncos do, and we'll put these 2 minutes on the clock. And let's see what you guys think. I'm throwing the first curveball in. I'll let you do that right now.
Can't wait to see what that curveball is.
I'm throwing the first one in.
So you going tight end, huh? I'm just playing.
With their tight ends? Hell no.
I'll just play it.
I hope they give Albert almost snaps this year because I really liked him in college. He's very raw, but hopefully learned enough in their first year.
I got a feeling I know where you're going with this pick.
Marlo asked who's been picked so far. Man, we've been making so many picks. I have no clue what everybody's picked. I'm gonna have to go back and watch this and put a chart up so I can post it tomorrow because we've been all over the place.
And for anyone that joined late, we know this isn't the exact top 10 order.
Yeah, thank you, Lambo. I had too much going on today, and I couldn't account for the trades that have been previously made. But let's go back to it, and I'll probably have to go first since my pick is completely off the wall compared to everybody else's.
Got a feeling he going running back.
Come on now, Joe. Give me more credit than that.
You said off the wall.
No,
Okay, I can see
I'm
that.
going short arm bandit. Do we have 5 different? No, we got 2 people pick the same. All right. I guess you guys want me to go first. All right, I'll go first. I've been letting you guys go first. So I decided to go with my guy, the short arm bandit, Kwity Paye, because when I look at Denver, 3 out of the last 9 years, they've taken a pass rusher. Von Miller, Bradley Chubb, Shane Ray. So they clearly have a inside-out mentality there when it comes to how they run their defense. I feel like the only reason they drafted Shane Ray or Bradley Chubb in years back is because they felt like Von Miller maybe hitting it last year and they want to backfill that spot. This is the first time where I can say this is more than likely Von Miller's last year there. They had a $20 million option that they picked up on him. I think he may be an unrestricted free agent next year, but he's also coming off a season-ending injury, and he's going to be like 33 years old. So I feel like they bring in Kwity Paye. He has a very similar measurables to Von Miller. So if Von Miller has another down year, they can plug him in to start. And if Von Miller doesn't get signed back, they can immediately put Kwity Paye in as the starter in 2022. I think he was underrated in Michigan. I think he's a better stand-up guy, 4.5 speed, short arms, but he's kind of a Tasmanian devil type guy. And I feel like there has to be a curveball in the top 10 somewhere. And why not it be there? All right, so Lambo, we'll let you talk about why you picked Sewell, and then Mendoza, whatever he doesn't cover, you can follow up with.
Honestly, I was looking at who I had picked so far, and I was like, this is not realistic to not have a tackle off the board at this point, which I don't think is going to happen. So I'm going to have to reevaluate.
Oh, you still had Sewell and Slater before this pick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because where I went Pitts with the Falcons, I didn't put him there. I went Chase with the Bengals.
Mute your camera.
But I just there's no way he's gonna slide past Denver if he's still on the board here. I personally think Slater is gonna end up going ahead of Sewell in this draft at some point. So I'm gonna reevaluate my top 10 later on, right before the draft, I believe. But I just think they can't pass on him here. I mean, it's possible I could see them going with Jones at quarterback, maybe. But I don't know. Sewell seems like a sure thing. I wouldn't pass on him if he slides all the way to 9. It would be a mistake. And give Locke another chance this year. He's had some moments. So
okay. Mendoza, anything you want to add on to what Lambo just said?
No, he pretty much hit it on the nail on the head there. Sewell is my second tackle off the board. I already had Slater gone. So, yeah, it was pretty much like a blinking light. You know, Sewell is the best tackle available. They need right tackle help. And, yeah, like Lambo said, give Locke another chance, give him the protection, and see what can happen. Because they got nice receivers over there. They got weapons over there.
They do have weapons.
I mean, just protect the quarterback and see what you can do.
Okay. Dom, let us know why you went Slater at this point.
Yeah, they needed interior help on the offensive line, and they need a right tackle.
They do.
I almost went Parsons here because, to me, the biggest 2 needs that they have is a linebacker and also a quarterback. So if they don't get a chance to move up, get a Trey Lance or somebody that they really need, and they stay put, Slater is the best player remaining on the board, and he fits the need. He can slide in and play any offensive line spot. I also think if they don't have what they want on the board, this is where they could look to have a team like our rivals try to jump us to make sure that they get one of these fallen receivers.
Mm-hmm.
I can see the Giants easily trying to go after Smith or Waddle while fearing that there's another team behind them, the Eagles, who may try to make a small move up. which won't cost them that much.
Right.
And the Eagles have been feeling it from that fan base who
Yeah.
are devastated that they felt like they've moved away from an impact player. So to think that they could move up a couple of spots and secure one of those receivers would be interesting. So I went with Slater, best player available, fits positions of need, wherever they want to plug him in, makes sense.
So, Dom, you still have Waddle and Smith available?
I still have Smith and Waddle available. Yep.
Okay. All right. All right, Jeff, let us know why you took Surtain.
Well, looking at their depth chart, I wish I would have waited because they don't have a right tackle on their team, it looks like right now.
Yep.
So right tackle would probably be the obvious choice, but I went with Surtain. And the reason I did that is they just signed Kyle Fuller. They signed Justin Simmons, the big fish, in the secondary, and they signed Kyle Fuller, which I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Fuller may have 2-3 years tops of production. I'm gonna go more with 2 before he started to fall off, and then their next corner will be Ronald Darby, which we know about him. So I think you will go ahead and solidify that and get your corner of the future that you can help pair with Justin Simmons and try to solidify your secondary. The front seven is pretty good. I think you just go ahead and shore up that last corner back spot and take Surtain. But right tackle is definitely in the play. Like I said, I didn't look at that before I made the pick, but I got to stick with the pick that I made.
Yeah, I just think they love defensive front seven guys, and I just see this being a Von Miller replacement next year. Dom, so you mentioned something about quarterback. So I take it you don't like Drew Lock as a quarterback for that team?
Absolutely not. Didn't like him coming out of Missouri. I don't think he's really shown you that he's going to take his game to the next level. I haven't seen him really do much for that team. And so now that Elway is kind of out of the picture and they have a new regime in place, they need some impact players on that offensive side, and it starts with the quarterback. But here, you would think, I mean, I understand where you're coming from because, like, again, I almost picked Parsons thinking that, man, he can add so much in run defense. He can blitz. He can sideline to sideline. He could do it all. But I still went Slater. I think that best player available helping out that offense because they need some firepower, but starting in the trenches to help to see if you got anything left in Lock. I don't think they'd go a Mac Jones or Trask, anybody like that right here.
Dustin Hockett says he thinks this is trash team in the second round. To be honest, I think Trask may be a sneaky first round pick. I feel like one of these teams, like maybe in Atlanta, somebody like that may trade back up. Maybe the Lions may try to get early in the second or late first and try to get a Kyle Trask.
Try to get that fifth-year option on him, let him sit.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't take him here, though. I don't know what Pittsburgh picks at, but they may be an option if they could trade back to pick up a little bit more capital. But I agree. I just don't see Trask right here, like Dustin says.
That'd be funny if Pittsburgh got Trask because my comp is Rudolph for him.
That's mine too. It's crazy how we think so much alike. All right, so we're finally at the spot with the last pick of the draft. Pick number 10, the Dallas Cowboys. We got a lot of viewers still left. So if you're still here, make sure you get active in the comments. Let us know who you think the Dallas Cowboys are going to pick at this spot. A lot of these guys have a lot of players left. To be honest, I haven't really been keeping up with who all you guys have available still. But I know Dom has a few receivers. I know all of his linemen are gone as well as mine. I think Pitts is pretty much gone from everybody's board. And in a shocker, I think Surtain may be gone from almost everybody's board. So
Pitts is still on my board.
Pitts is still on your board. Okay. So
yes. And so is Chase.
Okay. And so is Chase. Wow. Pitts and Chase are both available. I got to go back and watch this So I can see what your picks are, Mendoza, because I thought you picked Chase before. I take that back. You had Smith as your number one receiver, right?
He did.
Okay. That's why you still have Chase on the board. Got it. All right. Let's put these 2 minutes on the clock for the Dallas Cowboys.
I don't need 2 minutes. I'm running this card up to the board.
I put myself in a corner. Yo,
Is there no pun intended?
right. I got both top offensive tackles gone, Sewell, Slater. I got Patrick Surtain gone and Pitts.
Mm-hmm.
So most of everybody whom everybody been fighting over in the various groups about who the Cowboys should get, they ain't available.
No. Yep.
I have Slater, Surtain, and Parsons available on my board that I would consider.
Yeah. I still got Greg Rousseau available.
Nope.
I think I still got Slater available.
Really, Jeff?
I think I do.
Okay.
I wasn't writing them down. I know the names that I picked.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
remember Slater.
All right. So before we do this, let me put some of the names of people are saying. Conrad Clay says Parsons. Eric Berger says Team Pitts still. Brian holding on to the Pitts train. Dustin Hockett blowing the horn. And he also says Surtain is still on his board. Lamar has Parsons with a question mark. And then we got Lee and Marlowe both with J.C. Horn. So I think everybody's picked. I almost feel like a traitor with what I put on here.
Dang, Marcus, we would. Oh wow, we both are traders. I was gonna say the exact same thing, man. I was gonna say that's literally how I was gonna start my thing. Is I'm a traitor to everything I've said this entire time.
If we stuck with what we've been saying, it would have been unanimous right here.
Yeah.
Let me say why I went Surtain first. And by the way, tomorrow night I'm gonna probably go live and do a mock draft of what I think we're gonna do in terms of what the Cowboys have done in terms of their history of them drafting and some of the coordinators and stuff like that. I plan on doing it, but don't hold me to it, please. I just look at Surtain. I still think Horn is the better corner by far. Well, not by far, but I still think Horn is the better corner. But when I look at Jerry Jones, I look at the marketability of Bama, I look at the name recognition of Surtain, and it's a pick that makes sense. This is a spot I see Jerry Jones saying, you know what, guys? I know you might like Horn, but I got to sell some jerseys. And that Surtain on the back of a jersey with the number 21 is going to sell a whole lot more than Horn. And I just feel like Jerry overrides it, and he makes his marketing move right here. Lambo, I'll let you go. Let me know what you think.
Well, so obviously I am a member of the Pitts train as well. I will say I'm on that Pitts train, but I think he's too special a talent. He's not here. So sadly to say, he's not here. Slater is, which is the best player available on the board right now for me on my board still. But I think it'll be Surtain. I think I don't know how much it'll do having the relationship with Diggs. Maybe a little bit. You know, maybe he's begged him. I don't think they're really going to listen to Diggs, obviously, when they're making this decision. But if they've seen anything on tape with any type of special chemistry between the two or how they work together, you know, on the ball field, I mean, maybe they'll slightly consider it. I think I have him and Horn pretty much even, to be honest. The one thing that kind of struck me a little surprising is they haven't met with him or spoke to him yet. But that don't make me go away from them. That makes me go hit to him more. Last time we took a corner in the top 10, I mean, there was no talks with Claiborne. I mean, not the slightest clue. No, I mean, they hadn't talked to the guy at all. So I almost feel like in some kind of weird way, they're not talking to him because they don't want to show teams that they have that big time interest in him. Maybe I'm wrong, but he's still on my board, and he could have easily went to Detroit. But where he's still on my board, I think he'll go here.
And before you guys go, Charles Moffitt sums it up perfectly. Jones is about brand over talent.
That too.
And if I'm not mistaken, isn't the rule going to change where guys can wear single digits this year? So, and I misspoke. Thank you for catching it, Marlo, about Zeke changing numbers. I meant the number 2 on the back of that jersey with Surtain's name on it and that star. I think it's just that's Jerry Jones' wet dream. Like you get a corner with name recognition, you got the name, you got the big school, you got the position. It's just a trifecta for him. As much as I love Horn, and it still hurts me to see Surtain's name under my face.
By the way, Brian, I'm not. I didn't know if that came off as a comparison to Claiborne. I don't compare him to Claiborne, talent wise, coming out of the draft.
Oh no, not at all. Okay, Don, we'll start with you, and then we'll go clockwise, and Mendoza, and then Jeff will close it out.
Oh man, if Patrick Surtain was here with J.C. Horn, I would pick Surtain. I just think Surtain is going to go off the board. So I went J.C. Horn because I think they're right there. Horn's got all the physical tools that you need to be a boundary corner. He's got the speed. He's got the physicality. I think he's got the football intelligence and smarts. I'm going to go ahead and say the phrase that everybody has already said. He is grabby. He is a handsy guy, and that concerns me quite a great deal in the league. And I think a part of it is he's not trusting himself. So I think there's some confidence that he can still get with his feet and what he sees. But I think he has the moxie and the toughness to be a pretty good corner in the league, where if he messes up on a play, he can just let that roll off his back and continue to have that dog and that fight in him. So I just went with the best player available, which was Horn, which happened to be a premium position and a position of need.
Yeah. You made all the points that I would have made, but I'm just going off the fact that Jerry Jones likes the dollars that Surtain's name will bring. Mendoza, what you got? I know you're big on Horn just like us, so go ahead and let us know why you're on the Horn train.
Yeah, I can't get off of it now. I gotta keep this thing going. But Don pretty much summed it up pretty well right there. I think if Surtain were there, that it would be him over Horn. But me, I'm taking Horn over Surtain. That's just me. It's what I've been on. But yeah, I just think he would bring just that mentality this defense needs, just that physical dog mentality of just not taking any shit, And I feel like he's one of the guys, along with some of the guys that they've added in free agency, that'll help get us back to that, give us some sort of semblance of that.
Okay. All right, Jeff, close us out. Last off on Horn.
All right. Agree with all the points that Dom and Mendoza made. Surtain probably is the sexier pick as far as a brand. But on that same thing with what you said about them being able to wear the single digits, what better way to sell jersey than to have Horn and number 1 under them? And then Horn is a dog. He is a gravity adjusting. I mean, people gravitate toward him. If we don't have an identity on this defense, we don't have a person that's gonna get up in your face and the rah-rah guy and then bag it up with your play. And to me, J.C. Horn, he checks off all the boxes. His physical traits, his speed, he don't look like he's gonna be outran. I do agree that he need to trust his ability a little bit more and maybe be a little less grabby. But to me, he also has that. I think we was in a Star game. He has that Cortland Finnegan type, get under your skin type thing, and we need that. We need an attitude on defense, and I think that he will help bring a swagger, a cockiness, because Diggs is kind of underrated, a little cocky, but he's not out with it. He's gonna kind of not talk and do a thing, but Horn is gonna be out there, and he'll bring that attitude that we need.
Yeah. I agree 100%. I'm really caught reading the news clippings on this one. I just see so many stories that Jerry could put together an angle to keep Surtain's name out there. You got the Alabama ties, you got the Diggs ties, you got the dad giving quotes, got him on the field with the guys in preseason running routes and stuff. It's just so much I think Jerry could do with Surtain, and it's not that big of a gap where you can say it's an awful pick. I just feel like this is just 100% a Jerry Jones special.
Side note: Jalen Ramsey labeled AC Horn as his QB or cornerback one, for what it's worth.
Dog mentality.
Yeah. So before we go, and again, thank you guys for coming on the show, giving your input. You guys have really fueled the show today, as well as everybody in the comments. I got 2 questions to ask you about, and they're both about Kentucky players because we've all kind of glossed over that one. We just talked about corners. Everybody's talking about corners. Let's talk about Boss Man Fat for a minute. Mr. Cornerback. So, what do you guys think about him? Because I hear a lot of people saying he may be a CB1. I personally think it's the Mel Kiper trickle-down effect where he brings some guy up and then everybody else wants to jump on the bandwagon. Mendoza, we'll start with you. What do you think about Kelvin Joseph in terms of where he is as a corner? Would you consider him a cornerback 1 over Surtain and Horn?
Oh no, definitely not. I will be honest though, I haven't. Kelvin Joseph is a player that kind of got glossed over for me a little bit in the cornerback amongst the quarterbacks. I looked at him a little bit, but definitely not a cornerback 1. I do like some of the things I've seen. I feel like he's a little bit more raw compared to those guys, and he's more of a project. He'd be someone that's going to take a little bit more work, but. Like maybe if you were to get like him as a double dip corner, that's perfectly fine. But he's not someone I would get as like that's the first corner we took as Kelvin Joseph. I would not be okay with that.
All right, Don, what about you?
Yeah, for me, when I took an initial look at him, I didn't really too much care for him at all. I watched 2 more games after that. Then I really liked what I saw because he had a few passes defended, and you saw a guy who seemed supremely confident. Some of that dog that you talk about, Horn, he's got that in him. And he might be a little too confident, a little too, over the top.
He might
so you got to so you got to tame him down a little bit. But by the time I watched the 4th game, then I was like, all right, this dude is obviously going to be my cornerback 5, potentially even cornerback 4 for this class, going somewhere in the 20s. One thing that, and let me go to my notes. I talked about one thing I want him to do is get out of his back pedal a little bit faster. I feel like he, where is it? He needs to get out of his back pedal a little bit faster. I don't see him playing with the type of speed that he put up in his pro day.
I definitely don't see that.
He posted before the pro day that he had a 4.2. And then but then when the actual pro day happened, I don't see him being that fast. I said he doesn't really show the kind of burst that you want like you saw out of Horn. He gets a little bit out of position sometimes, and to me that he gets hit. That's why Pitts was able to do what he did against him. It's because he was just slow to react, get out of that back pedal, turn his body. He's not that twitchy type of athlete. But you see a lot of other things that you like he's physical. He has the size. When he gets his hands on the ball, he catches it. Yeah, so I see the value. I kind of see why the hype is where it is. Just not quite that high to put him at CB1.
Yeah.
So put him somewhere in CB4 or 5.
I know Voch loves him. That's why I brought that up. And I didn't know if you guys.
And Kavanaugh's on that train now too.
Yeah, Kavanaugh's on that train.
Yeah.
I haven't got to see Voch and Kavanaugh stuff for about a month now. And I haven't tried to watch too much of the draft show guys either.
I can't watch them anymore.
So I need to check it out.
I still have a Debo higher than Joseph. I'm the only one. I'll follow in this sword every day. Everything you said about Joseph, I can say it about a Debo, and a Debo has better ball skills to me.
Oh yeah, I have a Debo higher than Joseph too.
All right, Jeff. I don't know if you're familiar with Kelvin Joseph or not. If you are, you can give some thoughts or not. So,
I am. I looked at some of his pro day stats and some of his film. I don't think he's a CB1 definitely. If kind of piggybacking on what Mendoza said, that's a place you want to double dip. I can definitely see getting him in the later rounds and kind of molding him as a project. I do like his confidence. I think all corners should have confidence and be cocky. I want my corner. Instead of you out there shaking on the island, I want you to be like, throw the ball at me. I want that type of attitude, So I like that about it, but definitely not a CB1, not at all.
Okay. Mendoza, Lambo, you got anything to add to that?
I like Kelvin Joseph. He's been one of the guys that all right, so my dream draft scenario was kind of over this past couple weeks is Pitt sliding to 10 and then Joseph sliding to 44.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be stoked about starting to draft that way. I think he's obviously got some character concerns, but he also has the same reasons he has those character concerns is the same reason he's going to have that mentality that you love on the field. So if they feel like that he's not too much of a concern as far as off the field goes, but I feel like he's a guy, like you said, they could slide into the late first round. I could see him going after Newsome. I see Surtain, Horn, Newsome, and then Joseph possibly is the next guy in line there. You look at when he played he had 24 coverage snaps against Alabama. There was 3 targets, 0 catches allowed, 1 interception, 2 forced incompletions. He's still raw, but the potential's there. And if he were to slide to 44, man, and we didn't take a corner in the first, I'd be pretty happy about it.
Yeah.
But don't you think that was a little bit of fool's gold because the score was 63-3 or something ridiculous like that?
Don't rain on my parade. No, I'm just kidding. It is, but it's still Alabama. They ain't slowing down for nobody.
Nope. One of the things that I want to bring up about him is, again, me and my high school athletes, he was recruited all over the country. He could have gone wherever he wanted, and he chose LSU originally. And he was suspended for undisclosed reasons, didn't get to play in that Fiesta Bowl, and then that prompted him to enter the portal.
Right.
When he was in high school, he was a safety. He was a safety his whole high school career. And then when he went to LSU, they were able to tinker with him and flip him. He played quite a bit his freshman year there. So to be able to flip positions, become a cornerback freshman year right out the chute at DBU, and get in a little bit of trouble, went to Kentucky, showed out. The boy has talent. And so he's still ascending. And everybody wants to bring that up about the one with the back injury now, Farley. And only having a couple of years of experience at cornerback, having been a quarterback and receiver in high school, and then being recruited as a receiver to Virginia Tech. Man, this kid, he could be something special. And if you really start to think, the last few drafts, the top 2, 3, 4 guys aren't even the best ones initially to start out. It's true. Been that cornerback 3, cornerback 4. Like last year, look at Diggs. Diggs was arguably the top 2 cornerback in that whole draft as a rookie. Mm-hmm. And then you got the kid at Atlanta, AJ Terrell, whom everybody laughed when they took him at 16 because they skipped over Lamb, but he balled his butt out, his butt off. Yeah. So, don't discount those CBs that are going to go at the end of the first and probably top of the second.
Yeah. Kelvin Joseph tweeted 6 hours ago, I swear I'm 6 foot, but I play 6'4". I just love that attitude. I just had to throw that in there.
Didn't he measure in at 5'11"?
He did.
Yeah,
a tall 5'11".
Right. So we're hitting right at 3 hours. So let me just hit a couple of rapid fires. First of all, Dominique just brought up Caleb Farley. we'll go around the horn real quick, starting with you, Lambo. Number 1, does he stay in the first round? Number 2, if he falls to 44, would you take him?
If he falls to 44, yes, I would absolutely take a shot at him. Cowboys are also known to have done such things in the second round.
Do you think he stays in the first?
I do think, I'm not sure. I won't say I'm sure who will do it, but I do think somebody might take him somewhere in that mid to late first.
Okay. Dom, what about you? Is he still a first rounder? And if he falls to 44, would you take him?
Definitely would take him at 44 without a doubt. I would even potentially trade up to make sure I get him if he were to slide into that early part of the second round. And knowing what I would have to package to go up, it's not that as much as you would think.
Yeah.
I think you can gamble at that point in the second, and Cowboys have a history of that.
Especially in the second.
Not that it has paid off, but Tank Lawrence has been pretty good.
Yeah.
I think teams might get cute, and he will slide out of the first round. And it happens every year. There's a surprise player that everybody claimed was a top 15 pick that ends up going 41. Like Harold Landry
last year.
Yeah, Harold Landry. I can go down the list of guys that played premium positions and seem to be, have all the tools, and yet here they are sliding.
Right.
So backs, man, that makes everyone nervous. And the fact that he hadn't played in a year, and here you are having more back issues when you're gearing up, that's not a good look. And then he's going to come back around July at the earliest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Mendoza, what about you? Does he stay in the first? And if he falls to 44, would you take him?
I think he slides out of the first. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he goes in the back end, but I think he slides out. And if at 44, I really need to know who else would be there, but I wouldn't hate it, no. But I really need to know who else was there before taking that chance. That's just me.
Yeah, because you can get another potential starter at 44 at
That's true.
I was gonna say
Grant's sitting there at 44.
Yeah, like Grant or like even Eric Stokes. Eric Stokes was somebody I like. I'd maybe even take at 44.
All right, Jeff, what about you? Does he slide at the first? And if he falls to 44, would you take him?
I think he slides out of the first, and then 44, I definitely would take him. My question to everybody else is, if we took a Horn or a Surtain at 10 and he's there at 44, do you take him? Do you double dip that way and then hopefully get a Cisco or somebody like that in the third, and maybe even a Richie Grant falls to the third? Would you double dip that way? 2 corners back to back.
I'll take this one since I have an answer. I got Surtain right here as my 10th pick. If Farley was there at 44, I'm taking him. For one, we got 2 third-round picks. If there's going to be a decent linebacker there at 75. There's probably going to be a decent safety there if you like Cisco. Washington may slip to 75 because of his size. There's going to be some defensive tackles there as well. So 75 and 99, the guy you may want to take at 44, there may be a guy who's just as good in the third round. So Farley's potential makes you have to say, you know what, I can't pass this guy up. And we'll just figure it out later. We'll go back around the horn again. Lambo, what do you think? If you got Surtain at 10, you still taking Farley at 44?
I feel like I would just because, but I don't think the team would do it personally. But yeah, if it was me, I would do it.
Okay.
I mean, just the potential the guy has. I mean, a lot of people were talking about him being a CB1 up until this whole back injury deal. So
I think we double dip anyway in this draft. So whether it's third or fourth round, even second round, if he's there, I think I take him. What about you, Dominic?
Put a little Cheeto and J-Lu all over again.
Yep.
Yeah, like I said, I would trade up for him even. So at 44, it's a no-brainer.
Even with Horn, you still trade up for him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the other thing about him, too, is you can ease him in You can make sure he's healthy.
That's true.
You think about as much as they play nickel and dime, you need 3 outstanding DBs. And so you got a guy like Horn who can lock somebody up. You got Diggs who got the ball production, who's smooth. And then you would bring in a super ultra athlete like Farley, who could potentially almost be like a safety even for you playing deep.
Mm-hmm.
You go with that.
Yeah. All right, Mendoza, what about you? If you got Horn at 10, you still taking Farley at 44?
Yeah, I definitely have to seriously consider it. That's just great value, and like Lambo said, with him, he got talk of potential CB1, and if we got Surtain as another CB1, that's 2 CB1s, and then we already have Diggs, and just those 3 together with the length and those, that would just be great. I would, yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah. Yeah, I brought up Washington's name in the third, and I see a couple of people making comments.
J-Lou's gonna be pissed, but
I was about to ask that. So if that's the case, do you move J. Lou to free safety then?
he gonna snap.
Just like Dominic said, there's no rush to put Farley in quick. You can let him sit. Make sure he's healthy 100%. Let him play 20% of the snaps when you go to obvious nickel and dime situations. There's a way you can work it out without having to move somebody to safety.
Yeah, you can't have too many corners in this league, corners and defensive ends. So you think you one play away from Diggs going out. I mean, Diggs had a broken foot. He was out 4 weeks, came back fairly quickly. I was surprised he was able to come back in the season. But then you think about if J. Lou gets injured, I personally don't want to see Anthony Brown or J. Lou on the field. I don't want to see Kennedy on the field. I want to see
Reggie Robinson,
a double dip. I'd rather see Robinson get a shot at his natural position. But I just want to see new blood with different tools to really give us a chance to grow our defensive backs.
Okay. All right. Last question for the night. Pro days. I overlooked this one because I was trying to get to the draft because I knew this was run kind of long. The other Kentucky guy, the linebacker, Jamin Davis, 6'3", 230, ran a 4.3, 41 vertical, I believe, 41-inch vertical, 11-foot broad jump. Just an amazing pro day. And people are starting to kind of put him up there as an option for Dallas at 10, or just as an early first rounder in general, kind of leapfrogging Zaven Collins and Nick Bolton and Micah Parsons, Jeremy Owusu. What do you guys think about Davis? And just does his pro day change your mind? We'll start with you, Mendoza, and then we'll go through everybody else.
Okay, well, I'll say Davis is another guy like Joseph that kind of got glossed over for me. Wasn't a name that I had recalled, but when I had watched his pro day, or when I seen his pro day, I went and looked at him a little bit, and that's why I had asked you guys if you guys had thought he was a top 10 linebacker. And amongst the guys that I had, I don't. Maybe towards the back end, but no, I don't. Those are great numbers. They really are, but I just don't know that. I haven't watched enough to say like he's this or that. I can just only go off the pro day numbers, and I don't know that that's enough for him to vault it up into the upper echelon guys.
All right, Don, what about you?
So yeah, the tape that I was able to watch of him, where I had all 22 access, was Auburn, Mississippi, and Florida.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, I didn't even think to look at what his stats was going in. I just wanted to see him because I saw how here these national guys are making him linebacker 1, talking about Cowboys should get him at 10 as a potential pick. And I'm like, what in the world? I saw that dude not with the all 22, but I saw him and I didn't like what I saw. And so I then watched those 3 games, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I originally saw. An indecisive player, a guy that didn't seem like he was tough. He didn't want contact. he would rather run around contact. The stuff that you don't like about LVE is what I saw. Some of the indecisiveness out of Jalen Smith is what I saw. So I'm like, what am I missing? And so then I happen to look at his stats just for the season, all the game logs for the last 2 years. And I just happened to pick the 3 games where he had the lowest total of tackles. He didn't get more than 5 tackles in either of those games, but every other game he had double-digit tackles. So this is one I might have to go back and watch him some more. But right now, I'm just like, nah, I ain't feeling it. I'd rather use 44 on Browning than I would trying to take this guy at the end of the first, like everybody's saying he should go.
Yeah. Everything you said,
I
agree with.
concur.
And I went back to the Ole Miss game too because I went to Ole Miss and I saw the same thing you saw.
Yeah.
No matter how athletic a guy looks, when you don't have good awareness, your reaction time makes you slow.
He could not see around those Ole Miss interior linemen. Like their interior line had a pretty good push on the defensive tackle, and so it was like he was behind playing patty cake, trying to get. He didn't know what to do.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking, just shoot, do something.
Right.
He didn't do it. It was so indecisive.
Run a 4-3.
Right.
Okay. Lambeau Jeff. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him at all. You got anything you want to add about him?
Y'all hit everything perfectly, really. I haven't watched enough tape on him, honestly, though, to make a fair decision on the guy. Off of what I did see of him, I was looking at him as like a round 2 to 3 guy, and then he came through pro day, blew everything up, and now he's talking about even as potentially highest 10, which I was kind of like, no, please, God. I think it's kind of guy, though, that we ain't going to have to worry about because I think he's going to be picked higher than he should, possibly in that late teens range.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm going to go back and look at some tape so I can give him a fair evaluation.
I've watched about 3 games. I'll probably go back and watch about 2 more to see if I see anything different. Jeff, did you have anything you want to add about Davis? I mean, it's not a guy that a lot of people really knew about until his pro day. So if you don't know anything about him, it's fine.
No, I don't know anything about him. I would have to go watch a little bit of film on him. But I will say this, good pro day stats don't necessarily make you a good player.
Yep.
You have some guys that, like I said, blow these drills and stuff out of the water. You put them in an NFL game and they're like a leaf in the wind. Kind of like what Dom said. You don't know what you're doing. So definitely nothing we should worry about in 10, maybe in the later rounds, a pick if you want to take a flyer, but nah. Just based off what y'all have told me.
All right, so we got one last guy. Eric Berger has put in the comments twice talking about Harris from UCF. I'll be honest, I don't know anything about this guy.
I don't either. I can't even speak on him.
Since you brought it up, it's somebody I'll definitely go back and check. Apparently, looking at these stats, he had a really good pro day, 6'4", 4'3", 40-inch vert, a 6'5" 3-cone. I got to go back and confirm that because that's ridiculous.
He didn't show none of this on tape, but
that's ridiculous if he ran a 6'5" 3-cone.
Yeah, I know the first and only person I heard shout him out was Dane Brugler on a podcast that I listened to about a month ago. And Dane really didn't even go into detail. It was more of like, hey, who are some of your sleepers? And he rattled off 2 or 3 names, and one of them was this guy. Okay. And I was meaning to go watch him, and he just got shelled for me because I took about a 2 or 3 week stint where I didn't watch anything. And I think I told y'all about that. But yeah, all of a sudden, boom, I get these numbers. I'm like, oh, that's the guy that Dane was talking about. And I saw a few of the games where I wasn't focusing on him. I was watching those cornerbacks,
right?
These they have, but seeing a little bit of offense. And I didn't see a player who is this athletic. So, I'm interested to go back and watch him.
Could this be the Chase Claypool of the draft?
Now, Claypool was a beast, though. If you knew Notre Dame, it was just obvious. And everybody kept talking about put him at tight end. No, he's a receiver.
Yeah, Lambo put me on Claypool last year. I wasn't really following him, and Lambo just kept telling me, you got to go watch this.
He has hands. All the contested catches, contort his body, big physical. Claypool was an animal, man.
All right, well, Eric Berger, thank you for bringing the name up. I think all of us will definitely go back and check him out because it's a guy with measurables like that. I don't think he's going to slide into day 2 just because the wide receiver room is so deep and all these other positions. But day 3, he may be a guy that slips past us. Dallas loves tall receivers in the draft. So this will be a guy they definitely would possibly look at 4th, 5th round, maybe. Again, before we go, Dom, Jeff, Mendoza, thank you guys for joining us tonight. You guys always give us a great show. We've gone 3 hours. This is probably our longest show ever.
Yeah.
And I don't know about the people who are watching, but I was definitely engaged the whole time. So thank you guys for your input. And with that being said, Lambo, let them know where they can find your social media at.
You guys can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Patreon at Cowboys Y'all. You can find me on Instagram at Cowboys Y'all 88. I really do appreciate it. Even if you're not very active, please follow and subscribe on YouTube because it does greatly help. So thanks, guys. And it was fun, y'all.
All right, guys. You can find me on Instagram, Bluff City Cowboys. I promise I'll try to be more active on there. You can find me on Twitter at Bluff Cowboys, Facebook at Bluff City Cowboys, and YouTube at Bluff City Cowboys. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe. Bluff City Cowboys, Lambo's Cowboys, y'all. Tune in next Thursday night, 7:30 Central Standard Time, for another episode of the Cowboy Zone. I don't know what we're going to have planned right now, but it'll probably be draft or free agency, depending on where we are, and other Cowboys news and notes. That's it for the Cowboy Zone tonight. Again, thank you guys for joining the show. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I'm Marcus. This is Lambo, and we're out. We'll see you next week.